So, y'all are not going to believe this. And I'm going to get right into it very quickly because now I've taken up so much of his time. The bowl's empty. That bowl's empty. That bowl's half empty. That bowl's half empty because I've been doing the show and forgot to hit the go live button. And I've been doing the show. We've sat here. We've done the show. I've already introduced it. Anyway, so hello, everyone. I'm Spirit of 420 because everything I do is so 420, including stuff like this. This is absolutely 100% stoned 420. Tonight's guest is a guy that I really have a lot of respect for. And I've already said all this, so he's heard it now like 3 times just because of the conversation we're having. But he's one of the most outspoken and not afraid to tackle any subjects, and I love him for that. He also has a wonderful voice and a great storyteller. His name is Ragnar. I'm going to go ahead and bring him on. Ragnar, welcome to my Fuck It Fest.
It's like we haven't already done this today.
This feels like deja vu.
Have you ever experienced deja vu?
I am right now. I saw the black cat right before this all happened too, so I knew something was up. You want to know? We have to thank my wife, dude. She literally sent me a text like, "Are you on yet?" We've been talking for the last fucking 30 minutes.
Have you ever experienced deja vu?
Yes, I have all the time.
Have you ever experienced deja vu?
Yes. Nice. Oh my God, we were having such a good story, and we're going to get back in. There's no way we're not going to tell that story, and I'm not going to try to recover the show that's just lost. It didn't even get recorded. That's just an awesome 30-minute conversation that you and I had. And I do apologize, truly, Ragnar. I feel like a stoner schmuck if it matters, but everything happens for a reason.
You and I are in a very similar state at the moment, so it is what it is.
It is. He got all high for me. I didn't even get to go into that. I told a whole story. You know what's really fucking funny, dude? When you left for a minute to get your thing right and fix your stream, I was just talking to myself. Wasn't even recording. Oh my goodness.
I'm a schizophrenic, and so am I.
And so am I, and so am me. Well, you know, I do. What's funny is I do have my own personal profile in my phone as me, myself, and I. That's literally how I put it in there. So when I want to text me or myself, I do.
Well, there you go.
I don't know about you, but I text shit all the time to myself to not forget stuff. Just on a side note, I will constantly.
Well, why wouldn't you really?
Right, so that I don't do stuff like this. I probably should have a reminder. Did you push the light? I've never done that before, though, dude. I've done a lot of goofy things. I've not.
Well,
added myself.
We were approaching 4 minutes and 20 seconds into the stream. Here it comes. 2, 1.
All right,
420. Yes.
420.
Fuck yeah.
I love your understanding and your willingness to go on. The show must go on.
You know what? I actually just waited till this moment to say, you know what? Fuck this. This is unacceptable. I can't believe that you just had the unprofessional
audacity. The audacity. This is asinine.
As opposed to an acid 10.
Yeah, exactly. My wife and I always love that. I loved did you ever watch King of the Hill by chance?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So I always loved how one of his all-time favorite words when he didn't like anything, you know, Hank was, "This is asinine," or "You're being asinine," or "Don't be asinine." I loved it. And I do love that show.
Gosh darn it, Bobby.
Bobby, come here, boy.
Come here, boy.
6 a.m. Boy, still ain't right.
I don't know. You just don't seem like you know an awful lot about propane.
Propane. You know, he's I'm sure you know.
Peggy had a fat ass.
Oh yeah, she did. She had it. Actually, I would say this too. I would straight up do Peggy. No hesitation.
Oh, why not? Why wouldn't you?
Like I would just make sure to take the glasses off. That's all I have to say. The glasses
leave them on.
No, well, at least there's a certain time that I'm going to take.
It's a librarian thing.
Right. So when they take them off, they take the glasses off, pull out those 1,500 bobby pins that she has up there holding that beehive up. Right. Let it be Peggy.
Peggy.
Yeah, so we actually already got into it, but we are going to come back because this was a good story, and I there's no way that I can't have you tell the story. Obviously, how does one say it? We'll just go with it. It is an awesome story, and tonight's discussion, as everybody knows, is of the supernatural side, right? Otherworldly, ghosts, extraterrestrials, all those things, right? Things out of the ordinary. And of course, one of the things that I said, and I will bring it back up, is that I think the world's already pretty fucking supernatural that it is, if you just look at it. But then when you actually add this stuff to it, then you really understand just what a magical place you live in. But I'll go ahead and skip some things so we can get right into the story. And I mean that both Ragnar and I, because I already asked him this, have experienced extraterrestrials or UFOs or something of the otherworldly nature. And we have both experienced ghosts. Those are both 100%. So we're about to have a great conversation and actually share it with you this time instead of being selfish fucking dickhead like I was. I just didn't want y'all to know how fucking cool he is. No. So I am going to hand it over to you. Like I said, you know what? I'll do this because it is only fair that I'm not going to that would be totally dick. That would be the real dick. I just realized how dickheadish that would be to actually make you talk again first when you didn't even finish the first story. When I interrupted you, like, sorry, dude, we're not live. You have no idea, by the way, how I felt to have to interrupt you and explain that I had not hit the fucking live button.
Plug that in for me. Sorry.
There we go. We got somebody already shouting out to us, Princess Buttercup. I'm sure
What's up, Princess Buttercup?
And propane accessories.
Accessories.
So I will share the first story, and I will make mine relatively short. I was trying to think of, because of the story you already told, I was trying to think of the first time that I remember seeing something of the same nature, right? And the very first time I remember, I was probably about 7. I was riding in the back of an RX-7. My mom may remember this because we were both there, but we just tracked in the sky as we were pretty sure this was going between, what do you call it? Columbia, South Carolina into Kentucky. So we were on our way up to Kentucky where her family is, right? And just tracked what was clearly like, when they don't have blinking red lights and when they're traveling what appears to be way faster than you've ever seen any like warplane traveling, it catches your eye,
Yeah.
And most of the time for me, and I've seen most of mine now, I love where yours are, and I'm not going to do a spoiler. I love where yours takes place. But mine has almost exclusively been in the Southeast, many times in the Smokies, except for what I've experienced since I moved here to Colorado. But regardless, it has always been very, very similar, and what I see ends up being the same. It's not, I wish that I've seen something like that, but mine is a very bright light, right? It's just a single light, and it is not, there's no satellite that moves across the sky this fast, right? Because satellites just don't move that fast. Not like these, not in pairs too, because I've seen multiples. Like it's not just been one I've seen throughout my time, pairs where 2 or even 3 are traveling. And I mean, dude, just going across the entire sky in the, what amounts to a blink of an eye if you're not paying attention. You know what I mean? Like just that fast. And the first one was probably about 7. I saw a lot of them in the Smokies when I was living in, particularly, funny enough, you're going to find this funny, but the eastern tip of, have you ever heard of Tri-Cities? Bristol, Kingsport, Johnson City area. Yeah. So that area, just saw them, like I would go right outside my father's house and just look up, and that was all like 2013, 14, somewhere around there to 13 to 15. Just like what seemed like almost every other night, I was constantly calling them out, like, look at that. And it's not, the last big clue. No fucking sound. That was, I meant to say that when it goes that fast, it doesn't matter how high it is, you're going to hear it. Right.
Well,
unless
it's generating enough force that, and if it's using like machinery and not something else.
Right. Now, I mean, granted, it could be a stealth, right? Because the whole thing is that they're quiet, right? But does stealth technically hide the sound barrier in the engines that they, I mean, like, I earnestly do not know.
No, actually, it doesn't do anything for it
Right.
doesn't do
It's right.
much
It's
from
not
a sound
sound. Right.
perspective.
Exactly. That's my whole point. So
it's going to be in
right.
fact, the stealth bombers are loud. It's where they fly.
Right. That's my
right?
whole point. Like, you would have to, I don't know of anything that goes that fast, breaking the sound barrier, that's not, you know, making a lot of sound to do it. Period.
Yeah.
Nothing that I know of that we have said we have our hands on. Let me put it that way. Nothing we've admitted to. So, I mean, I'm not going to sit here. Right. Yeah, exactly. Nothing. I will not sit and say that it is alien, nor will I say it is human. It is unidentified, truly. I don't know why they changed it. Have you seen that? The new acronym is no longer.
Yeah, now it's a UAO or something.
What the
unidentified aerial something? I don't know.
I flying was more than appropriate.
Yeah. Well,
if it's not on the ground.
Well, you know that we're changing the entirety of the language in the United States of America right now,
dude.
Right?
Yes, I can't.
Everything's up for grabs.
Butterworth,
change the name of fucking everything.
Yes, everything is up for grabs. Everything. I mean, it is amazing to me because I can't wait to see what we are.
The word flying offended somebody. It has to be aerial because
those things aren't flying. Whatever they're doing is not flying. There's no wings on their fucking craft.
Yeah, so you stop saying they're flying. I'm going to file
There's no drag or lift. There's none of that's going on.
I'm filing a lawsuit with the ACLU. Anyway.
No, it's true, dude. When I lost my shit finally when Mrs. Butterworth, man, when that one changed, I'm like, dude, if that woman was alive, there'd be no way that she would want her fucking brand changed.
No, she'd be like, awesome. You mean they actually made a syrup bottle out of me? That's amazing.
Right. I love how we here in the present day decide how offended they would be if they somehow joined our present day.
Don't ask them or anything. Don't get their opinions on it or anything. Just.
Well, I mean, my parents aren't the oldest in the world and they're not the youngest, right? But 71, 74. So, I mean, and even every time I've heard from them, I have not heard them in huge agreement. In fact, most of the time this is ridiculous. This is going too far. When is it going to stop? You know? And I can say that neither one of them say anything, you know, in regards to like sexual assault. They're like, you know, whatever. Although I think I'm not even going to get into it, but I'm just saying, we never know when to stop as a society. We go until, as they say, until we beat a fucking dead horse, right?
Yeah. You should watch the last video I made. It's kind of about that.
I haven't watched it yet. I always go and give you a check mark, even if I don't watch it, just so you know, dude. I try to go on there at least, you know, every so often. And I want to get your advice, because it's not only multiple people now have told me to do shorts, that would help with engagement, and it seems to be helping you in your channel.
A little bit. I mean, it's for some reason my phone doesn't do the upload a short thing, so I kind of got to go cheat it.
Do you have to do a full shit and get around it? That's stupid.
Yeah, you got to put fucking the right hashtags, whatever. Anyway, I'm fucking 43. I don't know how to do this shit, but anyway,
I do the best I can. Luckily in the real world, I work in technology. And I'm not a coder. I mean, God knows. I really wish that's the one. Like if I met the genie, I'm telling you right now, I wouldn't wish for. I want to know every form of code that there is.
Okay.
And fuck the other two wishes. In fact, I wish you would go away. I wouldn't say
unless it's Barbara Eden, in which case the next wish.
I wish you would stay with me for life.
Could you stick around for a minute?
Have you seen by chance? Are you a movie guy? Do you like movies?
Yeah.
Have you seen 3,000 Years of Longing?
No.
I think you may end up liking it. It's George Miller. So you're talking about the guy that brought us all the Mad Max, he also brought us Happy Feet, right? So just keep that in mind. That's the same fucking dude. A lot of people don't realize that it's the same fucking dude.
That's funny.
That did Happy Feet. Yeah, well, that's the same guy that did this 3,000 Years of Longing. And what's funny is I saw that, and I saw, most people who watch my show, I know, but it is supernatural. But I saw that, and I saw what was that other one that came out? Anything, Anywhere, all the time. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do know the one
yeah.
that you're talking about.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I've seen both of them, and I'm flip flopped. And what I mean by that is they're both great, and nobody agrees that nobody thinks they're poor movies in that sense, the mass majority. But 3,000 Years gets like a 6.5 or 6.9, and then the other one gets like a 7 point something, almost an 8, maybe even an 8, right? And to me, it's kind of the other way around. And it was because the 3,000 Years was just, I mean, dude, first of all, it's George Miller, and the fucking guy is a cinematic badass, right? Like, he does tease the eye well. But the story that he told and some of the things, like, that is the best, most refreshing story of Genie and Three Wishes that I've seen. That was the whole point of that stupid little rant there, is that I have not, it's a different take. It's unlike any other take. And obviously, I don't think he wrote it. I think it was a book. But obviously he felt the same, same thing. It was like, fuck, I got to make this shit into a movie because I can actually do it, right? I can make what this guy wrote in the book actually be on film now.
Yep.
So,
yep.
I love that we are in that day and age. I will say that. There's really nothing
Me
that they're
too.
not afraid to tackle. Like, even if it's not great, at least you finally see somebody try. I love visuals. I love video. I mean, I fucking, I make them and all that. So,
yeah, I mean, when you think about what they were capable of doing from a CGI perspective when the original Jurassic Park came out, right?
That came out before Toy Story.
I mean, that movie is 30 years old or somewhere around there. It's pretty fucking
close.
old.
It's close. I was, I think 98.
Yeah.
I think 98.
Somewhere around in there. And I mean, even
No,
even episode 4, the Star Wars.
88, 89. I think fuck, now I'm looking up. Keep
going.
Now I'm looking up.
Probably 95 or 96.
Yeah, it wasn't 98 though. I know it wasn't that late, dude. I'm telling you, it wasn't that late.
But
go ahead.
When they were trying to do the pod racing scene for episode 4 of Star Wars.
Yep.
Or episode 1, sorry.
Technically episode 1, but I knew exactly what you were doing.
So when they were recording
93.
that, they were going to go out into the desert and actually try to like cut together things. And somebody in their graphics department said, you know what? I think we can do this all with the computer. And they're like, what? And he's like, yeah, I really can. Yeah. And it was pretty convincing.
Well, and here's the thing, dude. I mean, if you heard, I snuck that in there too. Jurassic Park came out before fucking Toy Story. Toy Story was 94, if I'm not mistaken. I can't believe I fucked up and said 98 on because so Toy Story was 95, actually 95. So 2 years later is when they came out of now they were already in the midst of making it, funny enough, when Jurassic came out. But regardless, and it's an exponential growth. What's funny is if you remember James Cameron, or was it? Yeah, it was Cameron. So after the 3 Star Wars came out, right? Mm-hmm. And everybody was kind of giving Lucas kudos with computers and his graphics. I'm pretty sure it was Cameron who was like, what I'm doing with computer graphics is going to make Lucas's shit look like crap, right? And of course, he fucking came out with Avatar, and he's about to obviously try to top that. And I just talked about this on one of my shows the other day, because I mean, Avatar now is getting close to fucking 20 years old, right? It's now literally like 16 fucking years old, man. Right? So you watch those Avatar graphics, and they're not nearly as convincing as other things that are not, like, for instance, I thought that one of the best uses of CGI lately has been a lot of, not all, I'm going to say sometimes it's almost like they're like just too lazy to finish it up. But the Avenger movies, there's pieces of that are just so realistic that it's very easy to buy what you're watching. You know what I mean? And then there's other pieces where you're like, dude, did the team just get lazy on this scene and be like, fuck it, just put it out. It's only 3 seconds long.
Just whatever, man. It's fine.
They're not even going to. Those brothers don't give a
wrap it up. We have a deadline.
It's the truth, dude. You see, I don't know about you, dude, but I see that all the time where you're like, clearly this was one of the final scenes filmed, and everybody was done and lazy as fuck to let's just get the fuck out of here. And sometimes that's third scene in the film.
You know, that was one of the things that I've been noticing with some of the movies that we're finding on Amazon. There's that one company that's been putting out like a horror movie every 12 days or
Is
so.
that Blumhouse or whatever?
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
it Blumhouse?
And
Yeah.
those are some movies where it's like, wow, if this movie actually had some star power and some actual acting talent, this would be a great fucking movie.
Yep.
The script is great, but man, your actors suck.
Right. It's they suck, and you can tell that they made that movie in a week.
Yeah, exactly.
Like literally they made that movie in a week, and you're like, dude, they made Seinfeld episodes in a week, and those were 22 minutes full of mistakes.
Yeah. So it's interesting that where you said that you were seeing
you're talking about Asheville and Southeast, or the Southeast, the Smokies.
I mean, that's another one of those.
It's not as hot. It's not as hot as where you're talking about.
Yeah.
Because yours is specific. In fact, tell yours, because I really want to fucking hear the end, and now I got to hear the first 7 minutes again. I have to, because it's good and you can't leave anything out. But yours is a hot spot for a known interaction, right? Mine is known for sightings,
right?
Not necessarily as much abductions, because even like many of the abductions, it seems like, take place more in the centralized America versus the coast.
Well, there you go. Well, so my spot was weird, and it was really, really well known for being a hotspot for not only the sightings of these things, but like close-up sightings,
right?
Literal close encounters of the third kind. Where
demonstrations too of lights. Like, I now believe that what they were seeing out there is part of what they were writing about in Close Encounters. No bullshit.
Oh no, for 100%. So, but yeah, the Route 79 that leads from the St. Louis area up through Pike County, Missouri, and everything is it's the spot. It's the spot for that most of the cattle mutilation pictures and such have come
out of there. Yep.
They come from that location. And the fascinating thing about it for me is it was a subject that I was already interested in. And when I realized that my dad lived right off of the highway where 50% of the cattle mutilations and shit were happening, it was like, what?
Ding ding.
Yeah. God damn it.
It's not cool, man. What the, I didn't ask for this shit.
So, my dad didn't have custody of me, but I spent 6 weeks every summer, and usually a winter holiday with him. And so every summer I'd go up to this farm with him, and we would hunt and fish, and he would try to undo all of the affectations of my lifestyle in other places while I was with him. And it was an interesting relationship. It was weird, right? Because one of his issues was he and my mother were absolute polar opposites. Right. My mom was kind of an arty, kind of thoughtful person,
right?
And my father was the militant, Second Amendment.
We have so much in common.
Back Hills country guy.
Well, not country, but still.
And so I mean, I lived in LA most of the year, and then I was in like the opposite of LA for the time that I was with my dad.
Nowhere.
And it was a weird thing, because I got this weird kind of multicultural upbringing where it was, okay.
Things aren't always like this.
We are actually all the same. We just have different opinions. But there's no difference between a rural poor person and an urban poor person.
Right. And the only difference is the life that they lead, their daily routine.
Yeah, and even different. That isn't all that different, but the motivations are all the same.
Yeah, and all I mean, really, the daily routines are the same. What I mean by that is the specifics that they do out there, versus in the city. And I have to come back to this, remind me, but how much we have in common, and how much it is fucking ridiculous, dude. Please. So you're with your dad out in the middle of nowhere.
So
you got
it's me
cow
and
mutilations going on in your bedroom.
all around us. But it's me, my dad, my stepmother, my 3 sisters.
3.
And
I have 4.
Well,
no brother.
I have 3 sisters, and I have 2 brothers, and I have 1 brother that's in no way related to my other brother and my other 3 sisters through the magic of divorce and shit. But
so much in
but every summer, every summer when I went to stay with my dad, I stayed in my sister's like 10 by 10 room.
Right.
On the top bunk, and 2 girls had the bottom bunk, and then 1 girl had like a day bed. And because my dad was, he was a redneck. He lived in back hills, country ass Missouri with, usually 5 people, no money, and a single wide trailer. So that was but he did his thing, and he had a freezer full of deer meat and doves.
I was about to say, if he didn't have freezer full of deer meat, it wouldn't fit the picture.
And we had a pond on the property, so we always had a stock of fish and whatever. So I mean, we didn't have to shop for meat very often, and we never had to shop for milk or cheese or whatever because there was some farmer in the vicinity that would.
About to say, I guarantee
share their shit.
Yeah, so you probably had eggs too, because
so we didn't really have to go to the grocery store ever when I was with my dad because he was literally pulling all of his food directly off of his own property. So most of it anyway, or the neighbors.
Good portion.
And he'd done a lot of work for a lot of the neighbors. So
they would just kind of give him stuff. That was also it's very common out in the boons for a lot of bartering to go on than there is in the city. Or I should say, bartering for essentials. There's a lot of bartering that goes on.
And it's generous too. They'd say, "Hey, John, if you can fix my toilet, I'll give you eggs for the next year." I
mean, dude, I know because the deals. It's not that. It's no shit off their fucking thing to give you a fucking dozen eggs every time you go. Hey, man, can I have a dozen eggs?
Yeah, exactly.
And the thing is, you offer that to somebody, and you'll get my point. The person you offer that to isn't going to be a douche like they would be in the city, right? And be like, every day, let me get a dozen. Let me get a dozen. No, you got to ask for a dozen probably every couple of weeks and be like, hey, man, can I have some eggs?
Well, so suffice it to say, we very rarely had the need to, nor did we really leave the property when I was there.
Have you seen Nope? This is so similar to like that. You should watch that.
I have not seen it yet, but I want to.
Yeah, watch it.
I've been waiting for it to stream for free somewhere.
It will be soon. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Hulu's probably going to have it first.
I think it's on Peacock or something. But so, my dad begins telling me this regaling me with this fucking mortifying story about how, every few nights his room just lights up with a brilliant red light that wakes him up, but doesn't wake my stepmom up. And he keeps telling me about it over and over again. Hey, I keep seeing these lights, and and then one day he says, look, the next time I see it, I'm gonna come get you because you got to see this. And I'm like, get the fuck out of here! Stop telling me about it. I don't even want to hear it. I don't want to hear it, much less see it. Leave me alone. Just let me sleep and pretend that this doesn't happen.
Just to put yourself in your father's shoes, though, he was like, you're the only one he could fucking share it with that he feels like.
Yeah.
I'm sure, if you're in that place, would you, I don't know your father's friends, but I was thinking about this earlier. I don't mind saying it. Would you go and tell your other friends, or would you only feel comfortable telling your son, No,
I got it. I get it.
That's funny though. Keep going.
But I did. I kept telling him like just
don't tell me. Just
I don't want to fucking hear it. Leave me alone. It's fine. Just let me sleep. I
wasn't waking up, Dad.
As long as I never see it, I don't care. So, but sure shit. It was a couple of days later. It's like 2:00 in the morning, and he comes in the room.
His word.
Yeah. Comes in the room all excited. Drags me off the top bunk, presses a 30-06 into my chest, like the whole gun, not the point of it. He's like, here, take this. We're going. It's here. And I remember looking at my little sister. Her bed was directly under the window. And then I kind of scanned my eyes up and I looked outside and went, oh, fuck. no fucking way. No way. Get the fuck out of here. And
did you feel a little bit of a tremble when you first saw it? You know what I mean? Like that
terrified.
body.
Yeah. Terrified.
Yeah.
Terrified. So scared, in fact, when my dad's like, let's go. I'm like, I don't even want to go outside.
But invigorated at the same time a little bit, right? Just
at the same time, yes.
Just a little. I know I know you didn't want to be, but you almost can't help it to be, is my point.
Partially, one of the things that I think calmed me down a little bit was that my father was, for any of his other failures, fearless.
Right.
So when he said, just come outside, it's going to be fine.
You weren't scared.
Like, yeah. Okay. You know, no, I was still scared, but I mean, just his confidence kind of chilled me out a little bit. So I went outside and I'm like, oh my God, you know. And the only other time that I've ever had that same kind of sense of awe and wonder, it was actually a couple of years afterwards. I was living in Germany, and we were driving to Garmisch, which is basically a camping town at the base of the Bavarian Alps. And we were driving down the Autobahn, and we came over this hill. And it was like you couldn't really see anything on the horizon for a little while, but then you come over this hill, and before you is just the majesty of the Bavarian Alps, right? Yeah. And I remember kind of going, just wow, I'd never seen anything that just, it was like seeing a puzzle in real life,
right?
You know, just wow,
no, literally. And I mean, how many puzzles have literally been done of that
and even at the time, you know, I when I saw that, it was like, this is the only other time I've ever felt this way, was when I stepped out on that fucking patio and saw what I saw, you know. So it was like that. It was like, what the fuck am I looking at right now?
Yeah, tell us what you saw.
Man. And what it was is we had this hill that was about 1.5 miles away, and some people would probably call it a mountain. It was a tall-ish hill.
All right.
And around the hill are 3 red triangles. Yeah, like this. And they're huge. I mean, you got to understand, it's 1.5 miles away, and I could see the 3 edges.
Clear as day.
It's pretty big, right? And each one of these 3 hollow red triangles that's lit up, but is not illuminating anything other than itself,
right?
You know, is spinning just this way while spinning around the hill. And as I'm looking at it, and I'd probably only been outside for like 15 or 20 seconds, I looked over at my dad and I'm like, all right, that's enough.
Yeah,
I'm good. He's like, just watch.
And I'm going, best is yet to come.
Why? I mean, what else does it do? I don't want to know.
Right. You at that point, truly, I know it's stupid, but I have to say it again, because if you're like me, you would have been feeling better off under your covers, under the bed, flashlight.
Sure. So as we're watching this, you know, these 3 triangles circling and then around, I see what he's talking about, because all of a sudden each one of these 3 triangles kind of breaks into 3 triangles and forms another edge, and they're circling around themselves, and then they're circling around each other,
right? And
then they're circling around the mountain. And it's at a constant rate of speed. There's no deviation. It's going in a perfect circle.
I bet there was. I meant to ask you this when you were telling it the first time, but I bet there was no sound.
There was zero sound.
Yep, zero sound. Which clearly any machine would have fucking been making some kind of sound.
Yeah, and there was no ambient light coming from it either. That was the weird thing.
Like it wasn't shining down or over or out in any.
Yeah, because it as bright as it was and as close as it looked. I mean, you almost felt like you could reach out and touch it, even though it was that far away.
Almost kind of holographic feeling.
It was, but it wasn't casting any light on the treetops directly below it at all.
That part's weird, dude. That's just weird.
So I'm out there and I'm kind of trying to digest all of this as something that I can mentally wrap my head around, that I can't. So as these things are kind of circling around each other, and they would occasionally kind of come back together and split back apart and come back together. And this happened at, consistently at exactly the same rate of speed, exactly the same trajectory for, the better part of an hour. And the whole time I'm out there just, fuck, and really I never calmed down because there was just this impending sense of doom that at some point it was going to realize that we were out there
watching,
and it was going to come fly over and snatch me off into another dimension or something.
Right.
And that scared the shit out of me. So
the thought of that, dude,
so as I'm finally kind of getting to this point where I'm just like, look, I don't need to be out here anymore, and I'm going to go inside, and whatever is going to happen out here is going to happen out here.
That can handle it.
I watch these things; they've come back together, and then there's just now it's just one triangle and it's spinning around itself, and then they kind of slow down, and then they come, they all just kind of face up,
right,
and then I see them all simultaneously from each side of their circle going around this hill, kind of rise up to the top of the hill together and form their own big triangle now. And then all of the side pieces.
Like a fucking transformer, like all these little pieces come together. Yep.
So it all comes together, and then all of the edges that are now within the triangle, because there's basically a fourth one that they've created in the middle now. All of those edges inside the triangle vanish, and and you could see right through it as if it just absorbed those other angles.
Dude, I'm telling you, you should find somebody, if you don't know how to do it yourself, and put that part of the story like to graphic, because I don't get me wrong, man, I'm following you. Probably 95% of what you saw I'm getting in translation, but there's still that 5% that you would be able to, sitting with an artist, or yourself, whatever, and be like, no more, no less, I mean? Like, and that would be, I would love to see that someday. Just put it that way, dude. If we end up knowing each other together, maybe we'll fucking make that fucking scene.
Maybe we'll find a way. That.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I got the cameras. We can make the scene. Then it's just a matter of getting some graphic work done, which that ain't fucking hard these days, man.
Nah, you got Fiverr for everything.
Yeah, dude. Yes, and I'm telling you right now, most likely, not to sound rude to anybody, but we'll get it cheap as hell from India, and the shit will work.
So, I've been watching this thing for
literally about
an hour. And as all of these triangles have formed this big triangle at the top of the hill, it's just one big triangle, one big red triangle now. And it's almost like it was heating up, right? It went from this kind of solid Tron red.
Right.
And if you don't know what that is, go Google Tron red. You'll understand. They're the bad guys in Tron. Oh yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Dude, I'm laughing. But that was a good one, man. I was obviously a little older than you when Tron came out. Like we were jacking off to Tron. Just that we thought it was the coolest fucking shit alive, dude.
Of course you were.
Yeah. And what's funny is by the time the new one came out, I told my wife, "You're gonna love this." I was like, "Just don't even watch the first one, honey. I promise you, there's no way you need to watch the first one. It'll actually only hurt having seen the new one and liked it so much. You do."
Yep. But
it's
I
like
watch
black
it
hole. Go ahead.
I just watch it heat up. Like it goes from red to kind of just comes to this like brilliant, perfect white. And now it's so bright that it's like a circle within itself, but still not illuminating anything around it, by the way.
Right.
And then
gone.
Just gone. And I watched it, arc up into the sky.
It just kept going until you no longer saw it. Not
I couldn't see it, but it had left like and I think it was just I don't know what an optometrist would call it, but it left like a visual trail,
light trail
for a second.
Oh yeah,
and it took a second for it to dissipate, but it was like holy shit.
Well, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say my theory on that is particularly that night, like you've been out there staring for an hour, so your pupils were wide as fuck.
Oh yeah, and right? It's dark. And no matter
what, right? It's dark as hell. Your pupils have opened up to this fucking light show. It would be natural. It would seem only natural to me that you would see trails, whether it actually left them or not. It seems like you should see a trail worse than a shooting star, if you will. Go ahead.
Yeah, but no, I just as I kind of sat there and I didn't sleep the rest of the night. Obviously, it scared the shit out of me. And
I figured that was a no-brainer. You were. It was now like probably close to 3:30 in the morning when all this was over, and
Yeah.
you're like, yeah, right, go to sleep.
and
What
my
if the
dad
red
is
triangles come back?
yeah, and my dad was just, yeah, all right, good night. You know, he didn't give a fuck. He was like, that was cool. I don't know what that was, but the next time I see it, maybe we'll drive up there and see what it is. And I'm like, go fuck yourself.
No.
You'll have to drag my corpse up there. That's not happening. I'd rather die. But
no.
so, but for the rest of that summer and the following summer, he would wake me up every now and then, and you know, it's out there.
That did become a normal thing where he would continue to.
It did become a normal thing, and I saw it several times, and every time I saw it, I had basically the same reaction. And since then, with all of the YouTube videos and everything, where I've seen recorded versions of almost exactly the same thing.
You have? You've seen?
Oh,
you've seen catching the same shit,
and it hits me like, you know, it like, yeah, and that's how I know whether it's real or not, because of how it makes me feel when I look at it. It's like,
right? It chills you to the bone again, like you were there.
Yeah, fucking like, creepy.
Takes you right back to that.
So one of the things that I didn't talk about, and if you want to hear kind of more of the detailed,
that's why we're here, man.
Version of that story, but the videos on my YouTube channel.
Which, by the way, I said before, but I'm saying it. Let me give you a plug real quick because I do love you, and people need to go and give him a chance, give him a listen, because the reality is, like I said, he'll tackle any subject. He's not afraid to talk about any of it, and that right there should give you a reason to go listen to what he has to say.
In real life, I always say this on my channel, so I'll say it on yours. You know, I love you. I respect you. If I have to, I will protect you.
Yep.
There is no denominator on that. You know?
You've heard me say a few things, and now over time, I've probably seen a tweet or two. But my thing is, actions speak louder than words. So I just continue to try to prove to people with, you know, everything that I do. But and by the way, I think I even texted this to you the other day. One of the reasons that I love having you on, and we'll continue to collab, as they say these days. But as we continue to do things together, trust me.
Oh my God, we're like totally doing a collab.
Just, listen, I wanted to throw that out there so that we understood each other. No, but you're one of the most real that I met. You know, quite frankly, and I have some more. I have my first female guest coming on, just so you know. You'll actually enjoy that episode. I call them the Power Twins, but you'll enjoy it. These are a couple of cool chicks, 52-year-old identical twins, and the shit that identical twins, you know, they have a whole, like, siblings have a level,
telepathic
right?
language.
Yeah. Siblings have a level. Twins, fraternal twins, have a deeper level than just a pair of siblings, right? Because they have been together their whole lives,
right?
But twins, like a lot of people, it's amazing. They're identical twins, so I can repeat this with all I would not know, but they're like, you'd be surprised, Spirit, at how many people don't realize an identical twin was once one egg that literally cloned itself, and split. And I was like, really? Wow, people don't. But that's a whole nother level of being connected that only another identical twin can understand.
Well, let me throw a thing in there now that we've mentioned the identical twin thing.
Oh my, this is going to be good.
And well, and anybody who doesn't believe me, Google Paul Kreutzer, Pike County, Missouri. Google it. Kreutzer.
I'll do it later.
You don't have to do it right now.
No, but I know. So
people want to kind of look at the background of this. It's pretty crazy.
Is this one of those twin studies?
No, this is a wild twin situation
that just they ended up finding each other.
No, kind of thing. It kind of fits into this paranormal vein a little bit.
Okay. Right? No, to me, dude, I have read identical twin studies. I mean, I'm father of twins. They're not identical, but when you become the father of twins, you look into things in the nature of twins, and twins. What identical twins share is extremely fascinating and well beyond the understanding of science and doctors.
Yep. Well, my father had made friends with the neighbor not far away, medical doctor. His name Dr. Kreutzer, and Dr. Kreutzer had a farm, and he was one of the sweetest, most gentle human beings on earth. His wife you know, I can't remember her first name, but she was always Mrs. Kreutzer to me anyway. But, you know, she was the type of woman that, you know, she, like in a different world, she probably would have been a vegan, because when it was time to slaughter the cow, like she liked the beef,
Right.
but the idea of having to kill something. I mean, I watched her
Right.
break down in tears one day when she cracked a fertilized egg.
Oh my God.
Right.
That's honestly, that sounds like my third oldest son, my third young, whatever you want to call it, but the third son down.
Yep.
Nobody taught him this because we are a house of meat eaters. Understand,
Yep.
I am a carnivorous mother. He can't stand the thought of eating anything that was once alive at all. Period.
All right. Well, I guess I can grab my. I get it. I understand why people are vegan.
I know, I get it, but keep going. Keep going.
And I respect it. But
yeah.
And I mention all of this because I knew them well. You know, I helped
Right.
my dad put a roof on their house. They were sweet people. And many years, well, not many years, but 16, 17, 18 years prior, they had adopted 3 kids. Missy, whom I was the first girl that I ever got sexually excited about ever. She was beautiful.
Did you ever have any? Did you ever get anything, even a kiss?
No.
Just excited. Just excited. Then purely.
I was
excited.
like 12 and she was like 17, so that never would have happened. But you know, she was a Missouri farm girl and she liked to wear short shorts, and that made me happy as a 12-year-old. So anyway, Missy was cool, and then her brothers, Paul and Pat. I knew Pat really well. I saw Pat all the time. And Pat always told me about his twin brother. And I was like, okay. I'd never seen him before, and I didn't know why I'd never seen him before. But to kind of paint the picture here, Pat was the sweetest, kindest, hardest working 6'5" Missouri plowboy you've ever seen in your life.
So big, gentle giant kind of
gentle, sweet man.
Right, like the guy that the picture, like almost picture perfect of the gentle giant.
He was like 18 or 19 years old, and I was one of his best friends. He wasn't particularly bright, you know. I was smarter than he was. I could communicate better than he could, but his gifts were different. You know, if you ever watched The Green Mile, he was basically John Coffey.
I get it.
Right.
Yep.
So, sweet man, and then
kind as hell. Period. Literally, just
and then my father said, "Hey, we're going to go over to the Kreutzer's house for when Paul comes home." And I go, "Who the fuck is Paul?" He's like, "Well, that's Pat's older brother." And I said, or not Pat's older brother, it's Pat's twin brother. And I said, "Where's he been?" He says, "Well, juvenile detention for most of his childhood." And I was like, weird. All right.
Yeah, that right there, that immediately strikes up
it doesn't make any sense, because Pat is the sweetest person in the world, and Missy is just about as well behaved and friendly as she can possibly be. What could Pat have done within the environment that created these perfect children?
Right, that would have Paul being this person.
Right. But Paul, apparently most of his childhood had been, you know, locking a cow's head between 2 slats of the fence so that he could have sex with the nostrils, because the rear parts were too big.
Wow.
Right. He would sneak out at night and go rob people's houses. I mean, the guy was a problem. Wow. And it got so bad that at one point, Dr. Kreutzer, at night, and anybody who says anything bad about the man for doing this, you don't get it. And hopefully you will before I'm done here. But every night, Dr. Kreutzer handcuffed Paul to the bed. He had to, because if he didn't, this kid was going to go out and do disgusting, depraved things. And he was taking them to cows and whatever else he could get his hands on. And at one point, I was on the Kreutzer's roof helping my dad repair the roof, and we had tow boards set up to walk on, and Paul had volunteered to help. And what, you know, he's 6'5" and 300 pounds. And
Right. Take his help. I get it.
so we're up on this rather steep, very high 2.5-story roof. And he sees that I'm on a tow board that's carrying my weight just fine, and thinks I'm going to hang on to this tow board right directly above, and then I'm going to kick the fuck out of this thing and see if I can make this kid die. So he did. He kicked the tow board out from underneath of me, and I was hanging off the side of the house for 3 seconds before my father kind of caught me by the forearm and dragged me off, and then we got down to the ground. Now, mind you, my dad's 5'9", 5'10". Paul's huge, and he looks up at the now that we're on the ground, and he says, "Get the fuck down here right now." And Paul comes down. I don't know what you're so upset about. That was an accident, clearly. You know,
taking advantage of. That guy was going to kill me.
And as soon as we touched the ground, as soon as he touched the ground and came kind of walking up, like, "What the fuck are you gonna do?" My dad fucking cold cocked him, hard. And one of the scariest things is Paul ate it. He just, like, nothing had happened. His lips bleeding, his lips busted open, and he just looks at my dad like nothing. Just stands there looking at him. And I had this understanding that in him doing so, my father had actually gained his respect, so he just kind of backed off.
Right.
But it wasn't because he was afraid, and it wasn't.
No, he was fully aware of that he could probably hurt your dad in many ways. It's like,
all right, fair enough. I get it. Okay.
I made your son hang from that, and you cold cocked me for it. Period. It is what it is, and now we're gonna move on.
But I always had this sense of being in the presence of evil anytime I was around Paul.
Right.
He scared me.
I mean, you know, and this is, I know you know this already, but it's very common in twins that they are in many, many ways polar opposites.
And that's exactly what happened here. Pat got 100% of the good, and Paul got 100% of the evil. So
it was like you were hanging out with Damien it was
creepy. And to give you an idea, it actually made it worse. I never wanted to see him after this, but we had this sweethearted country dog that well, he wasn't sweet, but he was sweet if
you knew him,
if he knew you, right? Otherwise, he was a threat. He'd kill you. And he was a country dog. In fact, we never even fed the dog. We'd put food out for him, and he would just eat gophers and rabbits and shit, and that's what he did to keep himself fed. So, and he was 140 pounds, so he did a lot of that. But
so bit wild, bit farm dog.
So the Kreutzers actually came up to visit with us one day, and they brought Paul, and my dog, who was under perfect voice command, took one look at this dude and did not stop growling the entire time that they were there.
Dogs have a fucking sixth sense.
And he did not take his eyes off of that man the entire time that he was there. And this was a dog that
changed your perception.
You could look at this dog and go, it's okay. And he'd listen to you. We did it to him probably 50 times that day. And he was like, no, it's not fucking okay.
Right.
Not okay.
There's something inherently wrong with that person.
I don't like it. And if he makes any move towards any of you, I'm going to kill him. And do what?
They were identical, Paul.
They were identical. So I tell you all of this to say the following. I found out that a couple of years after my father died the following summer, I was 13.
From this, so the following summer after this interaction with Paul and the dog, your father passed.
And the first story actually that all happened about the same time. But my father died in a single car accident. We can kind of that's part of the next story actually. But my grandmother tells me that Paul has been arrested for murder.
Now that's not surprising at all.
Like the Kreutzer family had said, "I'm sorry, son, but you need to move on, and you can't live here. You're terrifying." And he had, I guess, just because he was institutionalized and no longer cared,
Right.
Did everything wrong. I mean, every rule that you could possibly break on the first 48 hours because he didn't care. And went to the house of a nearby neighbor that he found attractive and waited for everyone else to leave, knowing that she was a housewife, and then broke into the house and raped and murdered this woman in every room of the house.
Ugh.
And I was like, yeah, I'm not even a little bit surprised. Not even a little bit.
Yeah, no.
And
I would imagine it was more along the lines of, I not to sound rude, but if you know that guy, it's almost waiting for it to happen.
yeah, 100%. He was a problem, and if you
And
spent
everybody
more
felt
than
it, even his dogs.
if you
Or
spent
even dogs.
2 minutes with this guy, you knew something was
You'd
off.
feel, yeah, I get it.
And there was
which in and of itself, like you said, this does touch on it, because I mean it is almost supernatural when you have it that extreme, where one is like a fucking saint and the other one's like a demon.
It was
like right in front of your eyes.
And he had gone to the store and he bought all of the supplies to do whatever he was going to do, and it was the case was made instantly. There was no way you didn't know who'd done it and what had happened.
Right.
And from what I hear, and I don't know how true this is, but to give you an idea of how evil this motherfucker really was, when he was about to be executed for this murder, they gave him an opportunity to say his piece, so to speak.
Right.
And apparently what he said was the bitch liked it. And then smiled as he was taking his lethal injection. You know?
Ooh, boy, that's just...
And it was the weirdest thing, because you would think to have two unbelievably sweet parents, even though they'd adopted them, that had generated, the social upbringing for two of their children, one of which looked identical and therefore should probably been as susceptible to the same upbringing. Right. But no, one of the two kids were sweet.
Those parents are honestly lucky that he didn't come back and kill them, man.
Well,
I mean,
and that was actually the ACLU got involved, and they're like, and they came up with this bullshit story about how Dr. Kreutzer had been abusing this poor child his whole life by tying him up, and and he's like, well, he has a twin brother, and I never felt compelled to do that to him. So did you want to ask me any questions about what happened, or did you just come to all of these conclusions on your own?
Right.
And I know that man well enough to tell you beyond any shadow of a doubt, he didn't abuse anybody ever, period. He might have done some things that the fire marshal didn't like an awful lot.
And he might have done some things that you could even say is questionable. But, I've come to the place, Ragnar, and I don't try to say this with, because I can't stand holier than thou. So until I walk in someone's shoes, I cannot truly say what I would fucking do, because to walk in their shoes means I had all their experiences, went through all the bullshit that they went through, made all the decisions they made, and got to that point.
Yeah.
Just like no one can I know that I have done things. No, I haven't done to the extreme of that, but I mean, there's many choices that my family and friends look at me and go, did you really decide to do that?
Yeah.
So, but
I'm not an angel either. So yeah, I get it. But
yeah. That's crazy, man.
So I know there was a really long way around to kind of explain that.
No. I love that kind of shit. Keep going.
Paul was one of the scariest people I've ever encountered in my entire life.
Ever encountered. Dude, he clearly gave you, shook you to the bone until he left.
He made me cringe. I couldn't stand to be around him. He scared
on more than one occasion.
Particularly after he tried to kill me. That part kind of fucking scared me.
Right.
But so I've always been kind of sensitive to whatever you want to call it, vibes, or every now and then I'm walking past somebody and I just hear a name and I'm like, what all right, who's Phyllis or whatever. And it's not one of those weird kind of like cold reading John Edwards fucking things where, you know, I'm making shit up and I'm trying to, and I'm, because I could do that too if I really felt compelled. I think
Right.
I'd actually be pretty good at it. But every now and then, you know, I've said to somebody, you know, who's Phyllis? Well, do you mean this? No, I mean fucking Phyllis. I don't know what it is, but here's what I'm feeling, and do what you want with it. Bye. Right. I've always had it since I was a little kid, and I think it's because I almost died a couple of times as a baby, and kind of kept the link, so to speak. I think.
Oh yeah.
But it's been interesting for me my entire life to kind of recognize that there are things that I'm aware of that other people are not.
When I
You
think
know?
a lot of that, I will take it further, and I truly believe a lot of that has to do with their state of mind, right? If someone's open to it, then it's only a matter of time that you're going to be privy to seeing it because you're open to see it. But you know, I talk to people who are closed-minded, and it's amazing because you will, you know, you take the same two people, one being extremely open-minded, right, on one side of the gamut, and then take another one who's extremely closed-minded on the other side of the gamut, show
Yeah.
them the same event, and you'll get two different fucking stories.
Hey, is there like a magic button for a restroom break?
Oh, dude, go. Please go take a break. I
You know,
am
play a
completely.
commercial, sell some
Yep.
merch or some
You
shit.
know what I could do is I could play one of my old intros over and over. How
You know what
fast
you
can
could
you
do?
pee?
Pretty fast.
Dude,
You know,
take your
you
time.
could.
Here, look, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna make it easy. I'm gonna put it on me. Go use the bathroom.
All right, I'll be back at 5
No worries, man.
or less.
Yep. And now I get to retell my story that I told to no one earlier. So that's cool. So I'll remind those folks. I have been on Ragnar's show. It's funny. It's the only one I don't have, which he's going to give to me. It wasn't that big of a deal. I was on his show, but I like to have it for prosperity's sake. Anyway, bottom line is we met in a funny way because he actually, in the simplest of terms, we met, and I was early on in my Twitter, whatever you call it, Twitter career. I think I maybe had like 600 people, and we met. He had a YouTube channel. I was like, "Hey, man, let's do some kind of a, collaboration. Be on my show, you be on your show, or I'd be on your show, whatever the hell. Let's just do something." And he was down. And being that I have that stoner memory that I do, I completely forgot about it and kind of just let it fall to the wayside. And then all of a sudden, one day, I saw that he stopped following me, and he had a tweet at the top. As a matter of fact, he had a tweet at the top of his pinned to his profile that literally said, if you're one of the 10,000 that I just unfollowed, yeah, this long thing, we either don't interact or all that. And it was, it was legitimate reasons. Basically, it's if you haven't interacted with me, I haven't interacted with you, you don't agree with me, or I don't agree with you, or we just don't have anything in common, then, I unfollowed. And, when I saw it, I was like, in the simplest of terms, if you will, I came to him and I was like, "Hey man, I don't think you meant to do that. We were actually going to do something," kind of raise my hand. And sure enough, he was like, "No, I was just flying through doing thousands at a time," which I now found out today that he did in about 6 hours. So I can imagine, which that is a daunting task. I'll just tell you. But nonetheless, we ended up doing a meeting and chatting back and forth. And then I went on his show. And here we are now in season 2, and he's on my show. And it's actually, I will tell you this, it's been, how do you say, really cool because I love talking to him. He has no fear. So, like, for instance, I had to actually tone him down a little bit. And what I mean by that is when we were planning the show, I sent him over. I basically said this. I was like, "Hey, as long as we don't talk about specific religion or politics, we can discuss anything else." And the first thing he came back with was supernatural ghosts and UFOs and all that kind of stuff, which we're about to get into it because I got a couple of stories on ghosts that I'm going to share here in just a minute. And I know that he has experienced ghosts, so I'm sure he has something to share too. And I'm guessing I can see him now, so I'm gonna come back over here now. I'm guessing that he probably feels 5 times better now than he did.
I do. Now I'm gearing up the next one.
So I will go ahead and tell the next story. And this was, I'm a little bit older now. The first thing I'll say is this is now before my kids. So I'm still not 28 yet. Pretty sure I'm 27. Yep, I'm 27 because it was around, I want to say May. No. I think it was even probably closer to maybe like March. Well, you'll hear. So the mother, what ended up being the mother of my twins now, or the mother of my twins that I have today, she and I, when we first got together, the first place we moved into, you'll love the beginning of this, is on a fucking cul-de-sac. Okay. And doesn't shit always happen on a cul-de-sac? I mean, it is not, there's no bullshit. I don't know about you, but it seems like it's inevitable that that's where shit's going to go down. Because many times there's almost always an empty lot. And sure enough, on ours, there wasn't. It shared my property line. Now, I'm 27 years old, so this is 1999. Okay, freshly 99, because I remember we got together and I moved out of my mother's house around January, like the end of January of 99. Now, between us, we had, trying to make sure I get the count right. God, I'm such a stoner. I think at this time we just had 2 dogs. I don't think we had 3 yet. I think we just had 2. I had a pit bull boxer, and then we had this other one that was just a straight mutt. I can't remember what the fuck it is. But this is there's multiple parts, so I'll give you the floor here after a moment. But I'll tell you the first part of it, because this was the house that I got the most continual experience in interaction with the other side. Okay. So we got the feeling right away that something was up, and I'll tell you that story here in a minute, but we found visual or hard proof, because I literally found a neck bone, and it would be the bottom one of the at the base of the neck, and literally, dude, sawed off at an edge like that, just perfect, but at just a slight angle, like maybe 3 degrees. You know what I mean?
Awesome.
And I find this on what is apparent, and I'll go into that whole story in a minute, but I find this in what, once I cleared out the bush and everything, was literally a grave. You could tell it was the perfect length, and that exact area was humped over like someone had been buried there. But you would never have known it until I did all this clearing. Right. But anyway, very much started to get the feeling like, I mean, I literally, when I picked it up, and then this was early days of the internet, right? So 99, I had Yahoo, and I jumped on Yahoo and started searching, for skeleton images, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And sure enough, matched it every fucking piece. I'm like, this is, and I even told her, I was like, this is a fucking human bone. And clearly somebody fucking sawed it, because you could see the fucking, like someone took a fucking skill saw and just, okay. Which in and of itself fucking gave me chills. And I had the bone for years, man. I don't know what happened to it. So anyway, we're in the house one day, and we decide that it's time to sage the house. So my mom wasn't there, but I don't know if you've ever burned sage, but we had a nice big piece of sage, and we were basically clearing the house room by room, right? And we first cleared my office, then we cleared the guest room, then we put the dogs in the guest room. And I want to make a point of that, because in the guest room, there were a double bed, but just the box springs and the mattress, right? But they were leaning up, like here's the wall, and they were leaning up against the wall, literally as if like you just put them and leaned them up that way, right? So the top of the bed and the top of the springs, bottom to the wall, okay? Just make note of that. So we put the dogs in there, and we're now doing a cleansing, and we're basically saying, hey, everything's cool. We just want to know that you're here. Give us a sign, blah, blah, blah.
You're smudging the house and inviting bad things to leave.
And exactly. Inviting bad things to leave, and at the same time, inviting good things to stay and share. No, don't want to last thing you want to do, if you understand the other side, is piss any spirit off, quite frankly, right? So we were basically asking and doing all that, and we're done. And we did all this. Now, understand that we did all this smudging. I should have said this, and I do apologize. But to backtrack, we had just done a cleaning of the house. So it only makes sense that that was the time to now smudge. Everything was clean, the full cleaning, right?
And there's massive antibacterial properties built into the sage as well. So burning the sage is actually helps with the house cleaning and keeping bacteria.
Exactly. So we had just got done cleaning. Now we're doing the cleansing with the smudge. We're done. And fucking I don't know how to explain this other than in the corner. So let me put it like this, so you're kind of looking at me. But in the corner of the kitchen, right? It's a linoleum floor. There is no space here. The cabinets come out probably about 2 inches, right? And there's a little gap to the baseboard, but there's nothing. There's no way to get up in there, right? That's literally their cabinets. They're all shelves. And even in the corner, you can reach up there and feel that there's no hole. But in that corner of the kitchen now is a yellow and red fishing bobber, about this big, and just the top half of a pink spoon. Let me just say that again. A fucking fishing bobber, red and yellow, and a pink spoon. And I mean, dude, it hit me like I fucking got smacked. I was like, there's a couple here. I mean, they just fucking, and to put it on top of that, both of them look like they just came out of the fucking ground. We just and what I mean by that is they have the little pieces of dry dirt on the spoon and on the bobber, right? They look like they came from underneath the house. That's exactly what I felt like. I was like, I bet these were underneath the house just minutes ago. And this was their way of letting us know there's a man and a woman here. Something really bad happened in that house. This, by the way, was on Norris Lake and just outside of Atlanta, Georgia. And those bobbers showed up, right? The bobber and the spoon. And then the dogs start flipping the fuck out. And I mean, when I say flipping out, not angry, I mean scared flipped out. As soon as we opened the door, they ran almost tail tucks doing the out of the fucking room, right? And we look in there, and the mattress and the box springs have been placed perfectly in the middle of the room.
It's pretty wild shit, man.
Chills like you would not believe, dude. I immediately knew. Like it was literally like confirmation of everything, that not only was this a couple, but something very bad happened, and they were still now trapped there because of it. They didn't cross over. They didn't make the journey. Something's got them here hanging out, living life that they wanted to live, and they're unwilling to let go. Is exactly what I felt. We literally called them John and Mary. It just made sense, So we lived with John and Mary from then. And I'll tell you this, dude, I know this sounds funny, but I don't know that I ever felt safer in a home. I felt like something was like, I literally felt like they were watching over us. But yeah, it was, oh man. We have a ghost living in this house, as a matter of fact, but we'll get into that. Your turn. What you got?
So I mentioned that my father died the year after kind of this summer of crazy.
When you were 13.
When I was
Which,
13.
by the way, is my wife's lucky number. So to me, if something bad happened, I hope it didn't, but I hope something incredible happened when you were 13.
Well, not a whole lot good happened when I was 13, but that's okay. It all worked together for good. So I'll take it.
It all got you here talking to me and me talking to you. So,
Yeah. And you may have heard me mention this at a point or two, but
never.
But it bears repeating now. I'm of the mindset that everybody has had shit, regardless of who you are, where you came from.
You know my tagline, right?
Yeah.
Most people don't realize how strange normal is. So everybody, we're all strange and we all have our shit, but I love it. Keep going, man.
And the conclusion that I've come to is that nobody had it easy, and you can either cry about it and complain about it and be upset about it, or you can recognize all of the places that it has brought you, and you
get
can
the strength
realize,
out of it.
and you can realize that today is when life is actually happening.
Yep. Only this very fucking moment.
Only right now is life actually happening. So anything that happened before that is not happening now
Has no bearing.
I can set it aside.
It doesn't. I shouldn't say it doesn't have any bearing, but only
Yeah, I mean,
you allow it to change your current moment.
does it inform some of your behaviors and some of the lessons that you've learned? Absolutely. But living in that past and being upset about that past serves no purpose.
It definitely, I'll expand it into other words, but it brings things to light, both shortcomings as well as what, I've come to the belief, just so you know, Ragnar, I really come to the place where I don't see any of my shortcomings anymore as shortcomings so much as gifts that I've learned to use in conjunction with the things that people don't call shortcomings, because without those little things, like, I'll give you a couple, right? I'm very dominating. I interrupt a lot. I'm sure you have noticed, right? And I tend to enforce my will as well. And I want to come back to that in a minute. But
yeah, and that's the thing that I actually personally work on myself, because I'm a naturally dominating person. I've fortunately I've always known that I cannot do that to my wife or my kids. But if I perceive there to be a threat,
you don't hesitate.
No, I don't even. In fact, I don't even think half the fucking time, which has been a problem for me 9 times. But
that's been I will probably say this, and I mean this only in the regard that I literally have an extra 7 years of walking. That's it, right?
Yeah.
That I have slowed down a little bit to where I am closer to thinking before acting than I ever have been. Right?
I'm kind of there, actually.
I'm saying that in a way that here's my point, man. I am there, and my family will tell you, my wife and my kids will tell you, because it's almost annoying to them that I'm not the same reactive guy that I was when I raised them. Started raising them 20 years ago and started dating my wife almost 16 years ago. Right.
Yeah.
Part of what she loved about me was the passion and that think after you act kind of, like ask for forgiveness rather than permission kind of attitude.
I have a mean streak.
No.
And what I've been attempting to do is make my fuse longer. You know what I mean?
You said fuse longer.
Yeah. I don't.
I get it.
That guy's still there.
Right, dude.
And the bomb is still there,
dude. I flipped out on my son just the other day. I mean, like literally screaming at the top of my lungs. And then I looked in the fucking mirror where I have a little car camera staring at me all the time now, right? And I was like, oh God, because I know that camera's catching me being a fucking asshole.
Yeah. But no, that
is what it is, man. It is what it is.
And the way that I describe it is, you put a really long fuse on a big bomb. And it's still a big bomb, but you also have time to go stomp on the fuse if you need to.
Water ain't gonna do it. So
and that's one of the things that's I've definitely calmed the fuck down a lot over the years, because there was definitely a point in my life where I was the "what the fuck are you looking at" guy, and I never want to be that person again.
Right. I used to be that guy too. Like, you would start fights with people that had nothing to do. Like, sometimes, you know what happened to me? Hold on, I got to take this dab, and then you'll love this. After a couple times, even when I was because I was at the height of my being a dick, which I'm sure you understand why this happened, but at the height of my drug lordship, or whatever you want to call it, that was when I was a real dick, right? Like, I knew I was making millions. I knew that I had more in everything, in every area, than anybody around me, or any of the circles, other than one who was kind of my predecessor, if you will, right? And excuse me. Oh shit, I lost my train of thought. It was actually somewhere good that I was gonna come. What were we just talking about, man? I'm sorry.
We're both kind of in the same place right now, brother.
Oh my God, I lost my fucking. Can
You
I just
saying lost
do
my
this?
train of thought made me lose my train of thought. That's where we
Dude,
are
I've
right
done
now.
that before. So, hey, welcome to it. All I can tell you is we were talking
Welcome
about
to Spirit of
something.
420.
Yep. Welcome to the Spirit of
Just start the
420.
fuck over.
We don't even have to. We'll just keep on going. It
No,
may
I'm
come
sorry.
back to me here in a minute. I know that we were talking about being a dick. We were talking about having that asshole in us.
Yeah.
And what I can tell you is this. I'll just come back to this part, right? I now try not to be an asshole, but there was a point where it was my introduction when that's what it was at the height of me being a drug dealer. I would introduce myself and used it as, I'm so and so and such, and I'm a dickhead, right? And do it my way or do it the highway. Literally using that line straight from fucking Swayze himself from Roadhouse. Okay. Cause I'm now, you got to imagine, man, I'm like, this is 1993, 94, 95, 96. That's when I got busted.
How do we know when it's time to not be nice? You won't. Right. I will tell you.
Yeah, I will tell you. And I was, dude, I literally, I got off on it. And, it's funny because even back then, there was a part of me that realized how much of a dick I was being, but I just accepted it because I didn't have anybody fucking with me. If it makes any sense.
No, it does.
It was a shield, right? Like if I'm such a dickhead, then number one, you're not going to get close enough to me to hurt me, right? Number one.
Yeah.
And number two, you probably are, why would you even want to spend enough time to even want to fuck with me when all you want is what I have? So, if it was any other situation where I wasn't dealing to them, right? But I couldn't be that dickhead to my dealer. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody was ever a dickhead to me like that bought from me.
No. And I actually, I used to have a line that I would say to people when I was engaged in the activity that I used to engage in that I no longer engage in. But somebody would
smoking crack. And I'll go into that in a minute.
Okay, well, I didn't do that, but when somebody would come at me with that kind of aggressive
tone,
I can fuck you up, that kind of shit.
Right.
I would look at somebody and I'd say, I thrive on conflict, and you're clearly not very good at it. And I'd watch people like, what the fuck does that mean? Right. And then I could look at somebody and say, this is my favorite thing to do. So keep running your fucking mouth. And I would get that visceral response out of people of, oh, I can't play with this guy. And it's right. You can't play with me because I don't have that playful streak at all. Looks like we lost you. So I'm just going to sit here. Uh-oh. I'm getting text messages. Power skip. It's just me now. Cool. Well, you can listen to some dead air for a minute because I'll be right back.
All right, I'm back. Unbelievable. I don't know that the stream ended, but I'm back. It says Brock. I think it stayed. I think even though my power skipped, I think that it still kept broadcasting.
It looks like it did.
And I didn't even see that I had some people here and getting some more comments. Hey, that's one of the power twins right there. That's Jess. She's powerful.
That's awesome.
That's Grizz right there. He was one of the ones. Sorry about that, folks. Had a little interrupt. It's just been the show. This has been, for those of you who missed, first of all, we spent a half an hour, 100% my fault. Absolutely not Ragnar's fault. Spent a half hour talking to one another, thinking I had hit the fucking broadcast button and thought that we were live. So we had to start the whole thing over at literally 30 minutes later at 7:50. So we were 30 minutes late again. 100% my fault. But back to being an asshole. We were right in the middle. Do you by chance remember where you were?
No, I kind of do. I just I used to just have this thing where I would.
You were talking about doing your the drug of choice, and you were and you would be.
No, I didn't. It was never drugs for me.
Oh, okay.
Never. No, I loved conflict, and I like to fight. You know,
dude. I think we talked about this. I think I told you when I first went into treatment. I was almost 17. It was days away, so I went in. Funny enough, you'll love the irony of this. Went in on my father's birthday, and my birthday is 9 days after my father's, right? So went in 9 days before my 17th birthday, and it was all for anger. And then when they found out I did drugs, they tried to turn it all and make drugs the focus, which is, I'm sure you know how that goes because this is 1989. So rehab was one of the most popular things to put your teenager in at the time. So funny enough, though, I was truly addicted to the anger from an early age because of the power that going into a rage gave me compared to before I went into rages.
Yeah, no, I get that, and I'll tell you where I kind of had a little bit of an issue is that I've spent my entire life since I was about 5 years old on one mat or another somewhere.
I'm a nomad.
So I know how to fight, and I'm good at it. And when I was like, up until the 7th grade, I was terrified of engaging in a fist fight.
7th grade,
you know, I was fighting in karate tournaments, and I was judo, and I was fighting all of it. I was doing all those things. But the thought of actually being in a real life, unregulated, fight,
he's gonna kick my ass if I can't stop it. Kind of.
Yeah, fight. It was scary. No weight classes, anything could happen. And then
no rules.
And then I lost my shit on a kid one day because running around the track, he kept stepping on the back of my foot. And he was supposed to be the baddest kid in the school, right? He scared everybody, and he beat the shit out of a couple of kids. And after he stepped on the back of my shoe 6 times, the last time that he did it, he scratched the shit. I mean, he like raked the fuck out of the back of my heel. So bad that I was bleeding through my sock. And I turned around and I go, that's fucking it, right? And I lost it. And they all started calling me Rocky at school after that because I literally just squared up with this kid and proceeded to box his face into oblivion. And he's laughing. He's laughing and choking. He's doing both. He's gone. He's dead silent.
I muted it though because I was coughing and laughing.
But yeah, I wrecked this kid. I lumped up his face, and he was trying to fight back, and apparently I just had technique from all of the practice, and I just lit this kid up, and he hadn't put a finger on me. And finally, the PE teacher had run across the field and kind of grabbed me around the waist and walked me up, and I'm standing there with my knuckles all busted up, and I go, "That's supposed to be the baddest kid in school that I just did that to. I'm never going to be afraid of a bully again."
Right.
And as luck would have it, I'd had a number of kids kind of fucking with me at the time because I wouldn't respond violently. And when they saw what I had done to the baddest kid in school, they were like, "Oh, we should probably leave him the fuck alone." Oops. Yeah. So everybody was pretty cool with me after that. But anyway, the summer that my dad died, right?
That's where we were. I knew somebody would remember. Thank you. Good call.
Yeah. It was that year I had called my mom a couple of weeks before he died, actually, and said, "I want to stay with my dad. I don't want to come back to with you." Because she was kind of in a bad spot at the time and didn't have her life together at all. My mom never had her life together, frankly. But it was a tough summer. So I called her and I said, "I think I'm going to stay with Dad." And she just kind of said, "All right, whatever." And so that was hard for me too after what happened, because it was like, you didn't even try, Mom. Where
was the effort?
Yeah, well, I love my mom to death. She was She was an interesting lady. I can't
Is she
begrudge
passed
her
too?
any of her faults. Huh?
Has she passed as well, or is she
Yeah.
still?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
both of your parents are already passed, and you're
Yeah.
only 43. That's not. It's. I wouldn't say that it's uncommon to have lost one parent by 43. It's fairly uncommon to have lost both parents by 43, and it sounds like in separate instances.
Yeah.
As well. So
For sure. Yeah,
that
she
is kind of
died.
uncommon.
She died
Really.
11 years ago.
Wow. So you were 33 when you were without parents anymore.
And I was in the room holding her hand when it happened. So
you were there when she left. That's cool, dude. That's cool.
So
I
mean,
hope I can do the same.
We were tight, but my mom had been kind of in and out of behavioral health
but she was your
facilities.
mom. I get it,
and
you
I love her.
it.
You know, but she wasn't very good at being a mom.
Dude, you know what's funny? I just watched a movie. If you get to watch this one, it's worthy to watch because it's fucking free, right? But I watched a movie called Lou on Netflix, and one of the best lines in there is she's like, "Not every woman was born to be a mother." And that's just there's so much fucking truth in that, dude. There's
a lot of truth to that.
Yeah, dude. I mean, there's women that have kids and they were not meant to be mothers. That doesn't mean that kid wasn't meant to be, because I believe everything happens the way it's supposed to, right? So that kid was supposed to come out.
Yeah.
And I mean, in your case, right? Like one of the things that I say repeatedly on my show is that I love you. I think everybody is extremely special and you're here for a reason. And so are you. That means you too, right? Like everybody. And if you read my little saying on there, I love God. I love my kids. I love, I can't remember all of what it is, but my wife, my parents, my kids, my friends, my weed, and you, right? That's how.
And in that order.
Yeah, pretty much in that order. Well, technically, if we're going to go to order, it's God, weed, coffee, then my wife, and then my kids. No, I'm teasing. My kids, actually, my wife knows the kids. The kids come right after God with me because they're they're the ones that are going to shine after, I have 4, so it's obvious that I'm going to go before all 4 of them. Thank you, Lord. I just say that because I really don't believe that all 4 will leave before me. I will leave before them. That is my belief. Anyway, but I hope they carry on a good. I believe they will. They're very. All of them are really good. My youngest ones still have some learning. I mean, they all have learning to do. I shouldn't say it that way. Some maturing to do because they're only 8 and nearly 11, so still young on the younger side. Sure. You got some too, right?
I have 6.
6. Wow. Your loins have been busy, sir.
Yeah, I learned how to watch TV. We're not having it anymore. But
how old is your youngest?
10.
10. Wow.
Yeah.
So I have to ask, how old is your oldest?
24.
24. So your oldest is actually, you started I started, not only did I start late, but it sounds like you started relatively early too.
Oh, yeah. I was 19.
19. Yeah. So I thought so. So I started at 28. So I literally started 9 years later, but with twins, right out of I was like, hey,
while we're on this subject, just real quick.
Yes, sir.
Young people.
Yes.
If you're 18, 19, 20 years old and you think you're in love and it's time to have a baby, don't.
No, you're not.
Give it 5 years.
Dude, I'm already happy that my first 2, the twins, are already 22. They're nearing 22 and a half. And we still haven't had even so much as what I know of now. Maybe they have kept it from me. Ragnar.
So don't do this.
A close call.
Right. Don't do this. Don't just say I'm not going to do it. Actually, don't say no. Just say yes, but not now. Right?
There you go.
And please let your brain fully form. Wait till you're 25. And before you start making lifelong decisions that might not work out very well for you financially or otherwise. Just say it.
Yes, and it has different effects on everybody, not just you, right? It also has effects on the child that's being brought into the world.
That's exactly my point, especially the child.
Well, yes, I know, but I wanted it's everything. It's every person involved. And the only thing I will say, and I'm not saying this in a rude way, but even if you wait till you're 28 like I did, you're never going to be ready. So understand, I think that even I like that you put 25 because that's a good round age, right? And we get insurance break at that point. So financially speaking, it makes sense to start having a family. And I mean that literally.
And
But
our
that's
brain
like
is fully matured at that point, which
it's
it's not
fully
before that.
fully matured, but I would debate that. And what I mean by that is maybe the brain's fully matured, but I didn't fully mature until I was 50 years
Well,
old.
it's mechanically mature,
Yeah.
not necessarily literally mature. All of the components have fully formed.
Fair enough. I'll give you that. I'll give you that much. But you get my point. That was
Yeah.
my whole point, was that even at 28, I was not ready. I don't think anybody, even if you somehow wait till you're 40 to have your first kid, you're still not ready because you haven't fucking had a kid. And until
Right.
you're a fucking father or mother,
Yep.
I have said this repeatedly. It's part of what I believe is full circle bullshit, right? You are not full circle. You have not grown up until you have at least brought another child in. If not, your children have brought another child in, where you're fucking 2 levels up now. Are you there yet? Yours are 24. Do you have a grandchild? Are you a grandfather?
Yeah.
Happy grandfatherhood.
Yeah. That last hit was a good one. Fuck.
Was it? I'm all right. Well, then I'm gonna fucking match you.
No,
Let
you're
me get
you're
purple
yeah.
passion.
Ironically, I'm
how
a
old
bit of a
your-
lightweight.
How old your? Oh, dude, how old your?
Yeah.
Don't worry about it, man. I've been smoking this shit since I was 14, like a
My
fucking
granddaughter is
chimney.
5.
5. That's awesome,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah.
I have 4 sisters. So I gotta just give you a few things, dude. You're gonna love this. Some of the ages are different. I was always in advanced classes because of that reason, and they had that theory of maybe giving him advanced classes will keep him out of trouble. But I was still like you. I would get done with shit, and then I would be talking to the people. The teacher would be talking to me, and I would still fucking tell her what she just said and what was up on the fucking board, and that would piss him off. That would really piss him off. It literally pissed him off that in my final year of school, for instance, first day of a brand new school, because I just moved in with my mother for the first time, got suspended until my mother came back to school with me. That was the first fucking day because I fucking outthought the teacher, right? So this obviously sent my mother into a whirlwind, and there was multiple things that happened, but one of the things that happened from that was me going into therapy, right? Which I was already in therapy when I was living with my father. I was in therapy from age 5. They had me hooked up to a machine to put the stress needle on 0 when I was 5 because I had ulcers, right? Because I'm so intelligent that I am contemplating and stressing out about things at 5. But to give you for instance, I went to go see Star Wars at 5 years old in the theater 3 times and completely understood what I was watching.
Yeah.
Okay, that's no bullshit. Ask my father. Fucking had a button 6 months before the movie came out that said, "May the force be with you," and we didn't even know what the fucking force was. Luckily, I wasn't a pervert at the time, or else I might have thought it was something that was going to get shoved up my anus. But regardless of which, therapy my whole life, right? And I move in with my mom. I'm 16, and start getting therapy after that. That was definitely one of the onsets of me. Of that day, I will tell you, by the end of that year, if you're not paying attention, I know you are, by the end of that year, I went into treatment, right? But regardless, between the beginning of the year and me going into treatment, right, and I'm talking, you know what I mean when I say treatment, I'm talking about what they call clubhouse treatment, right? Country club treatment, where literally the bill for this fucking treatment had to be in tens to probably $100,000 for the 5.5 months I was there, but insurance covers most of the fucking cost, right? You know what I'm talking about, that kind of shit. In living in there, right? That's where I went. But before that, they sent me to Athens, Georgia, because I was living outside of Atlanta at the time, and Athens, Georgia has a Emory. Emory has some medical. Probably heard of Emory, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I went there and they studied me. Sound familiar?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So I was 16 at the time, and they said I was at that point at 16. I was thinking at the average age of a 35-year-old. Number one, and number two, that my intelligence was higher than anybody in my life. right? There was nobody. So, I mean, that kind of, I honestly, to this day, believe that really didn't help the situation at the time to hear that, because I was forming being a dickhead. That was when I was becoming a dickhead as the shield. I was learning that guy got a lot further because I had just moved schools. And so that first day, even though I got in trouble, I became one of the most popular kids overnight, dude. I was suspended on my first day to my mom had to come back and have a fucking meeting. And I got licks the fucking first day back, because this is when you still got licks. First day back after suspension, I had to go to the principal's office and get licks. That was actually making me popular because of the way I was doing it. And I wasn't a fighter, by the way. I didn't get into my first fight. Funny enough, you'll love this. It was actually before that, though. But I had a lot of I told you I was a nomad. I'm not going to go into the laundry list of it, but about 8 years out of my 11 years, I was essentially the first or new kid in school for various different reasons. Right. So 8 years out of 11 that I went, because I didn't go to my senior year, I went through that syndrome of being the first or the new kid. Follow me? Middle school, 8th grade, right? I kid you not. How poetic is this? So first day of school, I get threatened, and I was told that the guy that threatened to fight me was the biggest pussy in the school. So literally what was happening is I was the new kid, and this was the exact syndrome of, this guy had a chance to, if he whipped my ass, he would no longer be fucking ripped on. Right? Well, that didn't work. So immediately 2 days later, I'll even say the name anyway. I don't give a fuck. Bubba Smith. No bullshit. This is fucking Lexington, South Carolina. Bubba fucking Smith, who is the bully of the fucking school, now decides that he's going to pick a fight. And quite frankly, I came out of it okay. And what I mean by that is he never fucked with me majorly again. But when we fought, I didn't take my opportunity until someone got down on all fours behind him, and then I shoved him and jumped on top of him because I didn't feel like I had the upper hand until that happened. You know what I mean? I didn't know what kind of a fighter he was, but I knew that he was the bully of the school, so nobody wanted to fuck with him. So that probably meant he was willing to do pretty much anything, right? And I should get every advantage I could, which I did. Now, I got a little bit of slack for that, but he didn't fuck with me again. The only thing that he ever did to me again, and you'll love this, it's about halfway through the year. That was the beginning of the year, like first 2 weeks of school, that all that shit transpired. Halfway through the year that I was out there, this is a sunny day in South Carolina, leaning up against the pole, Charlie horsed me so hard that I literally saw stars and had to go to the infirmary. But that was, if you knew Bubba, he would only do that if he considered you a friend, right? He wouldn't Charlie horse somebody like that. If he disliked him, he would fucking kick the shit out of him. Like, you know, like a Charlie horse to rednecks in South Carolina is something you do to the other dude you dig, you know, not necessarily the guy you like the most, right? But he's at least, at worst case, he's the bottom of the totem pole in your group. Worst case.
Right.
So, you know, it was funny because I remember thinking, I literally was like, you got me, and then all of a sudden I'm like, holy shit. And I was looking at my stars, dude. I'm like, I almost fainted, dude. It was everything I could do. And that's when they made me go to the infirmary because they could see that I was gone. You know what I mean? Like, and it was just a fucking Charlie horse. If anybody who doesn't know what a Charlie horse is, that's a fucking blow right to the side, to the outside of the bicep. Just poof, right when you're in extension, by the way. Let me make sure to
the quadricep.
Yep, the quadricep, right when you're at that extension point and walking. You don't really want to just be standing there, although you can get a good one just standing there. But if you get somebody right when they're, that's the worst. Let me just say, Bubba was obviously very great at hitting that exact moment, dude. But that is, I always thought that was funny because I had to go through that. There's so many other things that we share in common, dude. I kid you not. It's funny because I would introduce myself, like I told you, as I'm so-and-so and I'm a dickhead, right? Got off on the anger thing. I was not necessarily the best fighter. I really wasn't. And in fact, neither one of those fights, and funny enough, the other kid, I can't even remember his name, but like that was such a quick fight because I just punched him once and he quit. And they told me, like, all you got to do is, everything was exactly what they said. But this is now 8th grade. So these people, they grew up together. You know what I mean? They all knew each other. Like if you just hit that kid once, he's going to fucking back down. Sure enough, he did. But it was, somebody even said to me, dude, if you fight, then somebody else is going to fight you, because there's going to be, somebody's going to have to find out the point at which to stop fucking with you. Right.
Yeah.
And I will say this, the only thing I liked about Bubba was that he pretty much made it real clear that if I was willing to study, I didn't have another fight. There was no more fights at that school. I can tell you that. I did fight my fucking neighbor down the street, who was this fucking, like, if first of all, he was a curly-headed fuck, right? I won't say his name because but just to give you a for instance, you'll love this. He's not evil, but he hung out with pure evil, which is why he went away for 2 years for accessory to manslaughter. Okay. But this is well before that. That was in adulthood. You know what I mean? Right now I'm talking, this is, so I didn't even finish. Like I had such a bad year, by the way, that middle school year. It was always something. I told you, right? It was always something. Like, and what ended my schooling altogether was the end of my sophomore year. I went to or my junior year, I went to treatment and I got my GED when I was in it. But between 8th and 9th grade, which is, normally a great year as a freshman, right? And I'm teasing on that. Obviously, everybody has a horrible freshman year. It's fucking freshman year. My freshman year was in military school, a fucking state away. I didn't know a fucking soul. Let me tell you, son, I got my ass handed to me repeatedly. I just remember the other day, this dude named Fabian. What a fucking classic name for a dude who you remember whipping the shit out of you and kicking the shit out of you, trapped in a fucking, like, if you ever been to military school, have you ever seen anybody in them? Like, it's just like bunkers in the sense of, that's what you have is 4 dudes that share, or 8 dudes, I should say, right? 4 on each side that share a stand-up toilet or a stand-up shower and a fucking toilet. There's no doors. You're lucky if you have a fucking shower curtain on the fucking shower. And I'm not even kidding, because the floor in between is literally tile with a drain. So that if you miss the toilet or whatever, it's all just sprayed and cleaned with squeegees. That's how you had to collect. You've been in this shit before, right?
No, not really. But
let me give you a for instance on this one. You'll
movies.
Yeah, I know. I get it. My first fucking day in military school. I got to set the premise here. They had a demerit system. You're aware of that concept, right? Demerits?
Sure. Yeah.
So military has demerits. Military schools have demerits. You were allotted 35 demerits a week before you had to walk what's called bull ring. Okay. Bull ring isn't you marching with a bull, but it is you marching in a fucking circle, literally marching in a circle for an hour at a time, right? Just boom, 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 boom. Right. In step, in stride, you can't lose stride, and you got to do your arms. Everything's got to be perfect. If that motherfucker ever, yells out salute or eyes right or some bullshit like that, then you're like, boom, 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 it all works. It's military school. It's all drilled. So you're basically drilling, but essentially you really don't do shit, but for literally walk for an hour. That's the real discipline of it, is that you do nothing but walk for an hour, right? Now, here's the best part. No matter what it is, this starts over every time, but it collects every time too. So anything over 35, you walk off at a rate of 3 demerits an hour, with a maximum ability to march 2 hours a week. Okay. You got all that?
Yeah, got it.
First day. They had letters, by the way. Each letter represented a different explanation, a different amount of demerits. They had what was known as a K note. Can you imagine what a K note was? Just take a guess.
1,000 demerits.
No, that would be unrealistic. Go to the next level, and you've got
100 demerits.
Yeah. And it wasn't that they matched it up like kilo or anything. It was the number. They matched it up because it went from 500 to 1,000, and that just happened to be from whatever it was. What is that? HIJK. So J to K. Savvy? Because there was literally a demerit for everything all the way up to 100. Starting with 5, right? First day, I was told by what was called old boys, hey man, we can do this. We can go. This was Gainesville. Have you ever heard of Gainesville, Georgia?
Mhm.
Outside of, so I went to a place called Riverside. Used to be one of the most famous. I think they've since closed down. They used to get 98 point. At the time when I went to them, they had gotten the highest GI score that any military school in the nation had ever gotten. Right. So this is one of the nicest schools. And there was this fucking drill sergeant. Now, again, I know you don't know this now knowing that you didn't go, but in military school, most of the people in there aren't military, but everything's run based on military rank and all that. But the guys that teach military class, right, are always literally ex fucking dudes from the military. And we didn't just get any ex dude. We got an ex dude named Sergeant Beecham. Sergeant Beecham was the literal manifestation of the dude from motherfucking Full Metal Jacket. The unfortunate thing is, at the time when I was going to school, their Full Metal Jacket hadn't come out. That actually gave me chills when I saw Full Metal Jacket. I was like, that's almost the exact motherfucker I had when I was fucking 14 years old, right? First of all, this dude, old Martin, I mean, it's just, he was like pure hatred and what do you call it? Strictness. But it, you know, like in about a 5'6", 95 total pounds, but what's like, we were all definitely afraid of this motherfucker. And I guarantee you, he knew the kind of moves that to fucking put you down, right? Like he was military. He was actually a master sergeant. So 6 up, 6 down with a diamond in the middle, if you know the ranks, which is, you got to understand as a enlisted, that's making it fairly high up the ranks in the enlisted world. You know what I mean? And in fact, anybody has that rank, like early officers or young officers, I should say is the word for it, would have a lot of respect for that dude because he's probably got 30 more years in than they're 2 years in, but they went to college. You know how all that goes, right? Do you understand how that works? Okay. Just making sure. So this fucking, what was cool about this school is it was on Lake Lanier, Gainesville, Lake Lanier, right? That was one of the cool features that you go swimming at the lake. And I was naive and stupid, and I believed these old boys when they said that we could do that. And so I walked with them, and nobody stopped us. I mean, everybody watched where we walked, right? I didn't know. Anyway, dude, motherfucker catches us down there swimming. First fucking day, got a K note plus 15 more demerits that week because it was my first week in military school. So you can imagine that I was not perfect. So I got a 5 and a 10 note, whatever, A and a B note too, right? And yeah, dude, I walked bull ring for the first 14 fucking weeks of military school because that's how long it took me to walk off the 80 fucking demerits I had over 35 in my first week. And I fucked up a couple of times more where I got more than 35. So before I ever got off bull ring, I think I added another 25 points to it or something because I literally, from the first time bull ring started, right, the first bull ring session of the year, I was on it all the way up until Christmas break and worked off my last hour the fucking day before Christmas break. It wasn't until after Christmas that I understood what being able to fucking go into town and watch a movie like on Saturday was like. All I ever knew was fucking marching in a goddamn circle, dude, for fucking, excuse me, Lord, for fucking ever, dude. I never thought it was ever going to be any different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can tell you this, I put on one hell of an acting job, sir, and got my ass back into my father's good graces and did not go back to military school ever again.
That'll do it.
Yeah, but then I was the new kid again when I came back. So, hey, what's your, I don't know if we heard, did you tell us a ghost story? And if you did, I'm stoned and I apologize, but did you tell us an actual ghost story?
No, I was kind of getting there, and then we went
Let's hear
somewhere else.
Yeah, I know. Let's hear it. I want to hear your ghost story because you heard mine and that shit. And I'll come back to when I found the bone, but the mattress and the physical manifestation to me was even more because finding a bone is one thing. but something appearing where there was nothing there and something being moved that could have not been moved by fucking dogs, and it couldn't slide down. You understand that, right? The physics of it, these aren't going to both slide down and then be perfectly on top of one another in the middle of the room. So, and the dogs were flipped out because they saw that shit go. So, go ahead. Yours, please. How old were you? Start there.
13.
13. That magic age for you, right? You had a lot of shit happen to you at 13. Bro.
I did. The 13
that was a fucking
crazy.
Eventful year. 91.
This is the
90,
year that
92.
92. Yeah. So the night that my dad died, and this was interesting. I had a he had a few appointments like 2 hours away, and he was going to spend his time going there. And the official story, which I find out isn't entirely accurate, but is that after having a difficult day, he stopped at a bar and had a beer or two, and then fell asleep on his way home and ran his car off the road and off into a cornfield, and that's what killed him, right? So, and
did you believe that for a long time?
I did for a really long time until I kind of went, well, that'd be a pretty good, convenient way of explaining away. Yeah. Anyway,
other things that don't make sense.
Other things that don't make sense. Yeah. Like the fact that he was probably 4 or 5 times over the legal limit at the time, which I found out from the coroner's report later. But
so not even drunk, really.
Yeah, not at all.
Right.
So anyway, it's weird, but he had actually woken me up that morning, and he had said, "Hey, you want to come to work with me today?" And I said, "No, it's my summer vacation, and I don't want to get up at 6 o'clock and watch you sell insurance to some dude. No, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm fine. But thanks for asking.
So, yeah, well, I was tired. I was just like, no, just let me have a day of my vacation.
No, I know. I imagine what you really said. I was never mind. Go ahead.
No, I did what kids do to their dads when they come give them an option like that.
Did not think this might be the last time that they saw that we're going to talk. Yeah, exactly. You did what.
So he came in, and he was all right, whatever, and he just left, and it was and he was never one to ever call and just check in, but for whatever reason that day he did. Right?
Yeah, because
it was
meant to be. Yeah.
It was like 6 o'clock and the phone rings because we were all kind of starting to wonder where he was. And he's just like, "Hey, I just wanted to tell you I love you. Let me talk to, so let me talk to your sister, and let me talk to your sister, let me talk to your brother." And he made sure he talked to every one of us, which I've since begun to kind of go, what?
Right.
Why did he
that
make
doesn't add up? Right.
But I still don't know. So I can't answer that question. But he said that, and he said I might be home a little bit late, and we're like, all right. So at 2 o'clock in the morning, I wake up after this sensation of going fast, and then it's black, and then it's white, and then it's red, and then it's like I don't exist. And the fear response from that sensation woke me up, and I didn't understand what I just experienced.
Right.
Except to find out that my dad was driving down a, very straight back hills country Missouri road, was going very, very fast, and then ran off into a field, which started the car flipping. Because he'd hit one of the, I guess, the height markers for the corn.
Right. Yep.
When the hood hit it, it started the car flipping.
Yep.
And
rolling really well. But head over back. Right. Yeah.
And he went through the rear windshield of the car, and we later found out 60 yards over the top of the corn. Kind of landing in a heap. And so the kind of order of events in this dream that snapped me awake was going fast in black,
right,
and then white, which wouldn't make sense except that for some reason my dad had stopped and gotten 10 gallons of white paint earlier that day that were in the trunk. And when the car started flipping and flying everywhere,
the
there
white
was
would have been everywhere.
Yeah, spread out almost like a circle
an explosion.
in that field.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
And then the red, obviously, going through the rear windshield, I hope. And then the sensation of just not being present at all, right?
Right, because that was it.
Because he died at that moment. So it's like, and I know that now, but at the time I just kind of woke up and went, what the fuck was that? Jesus, you know? So I pretty much know. I looked at the microwave. It was like 212. And it pretty sure that's when it happened, right?
Right.
So we woke up the following morning. Everybody's looking for him. It's a thing. Anyway, long story short, because I don't like talking about it all that much, but we found him. Right. And it wasn't a pretty sight because of the distance and everything.
Right. It wasn't.
But no, there was no way that anybody was living through that for sure. But so it was a really chaotic couple of days for me after that. Right.
I imagine.
I had to call my mom, who's been divorced from my dad since I was like 9 months old, and say, my dad died.
Yeah. And
she's like, no way. She doesn't believe it. Right. And I'm like, no, I'm serious. He's gone. And she had just a couple of weeks before kind of went, sure, stay with him, whatever, fine, you know. So then that was a thing for me at the time, was being a little hurt that she hadn't fought a little bit to try to get me around, and then to call her and I would have to go back to her after that. It was like, well, I didn't feel welcome then, and my dad didn't even stick around on the planet, so I wasn't feeling great about myself at the time. But
no, I imagine.
So it was just, and then I didn't sleep for like 3 days, so I was hallucinating, and you know, I couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, it was just not good.
Right. Because then you would go to the dark places, literally. I don't mean because, I mean, you know what I mean? The dark thoughts.
Yeah.
That's what I call them. Doesn't matter where they are, where they take you. They're not light.
Yeah. So he was, it was a crazy few days, you know. There was no sleep. There was a funeral being planned, and somehow they managed to have an open casket. They probably shouldn't have, and it was a really weird few days for me. And after, you know, between what I'd been seeing out on that hill and kind of being concerned about it, and after kind of just, I needed to get away from that place as soon as possible, you know.
Right.
The only safety that I had there was now also gone, you know.
Right.
So I wanted to get out of there. But so if we, and I spent the next year kind of in a haze of just, number one, just kind of naturally being an angsty 13-year-old, and then having had that trauma happen. It was a thing. And my mom had just remarried somebody that I despised enormously. So it was just a year where I just never stopped either being really sad or being really pissed off. But so the following summer, my I guess now former stepmother and my 3 sisters and my little brother were,
these were all from, are these half brothers or step brothers?
Yeah, my 3 half sisters and my half brother.
So they were your father's kids.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So they were just coming to get the rest of their stuff out of the house. You know, that year had been kind of a whirlwind for them too, but
right, for everybody.
So we were up on the property, and the dog was our dog, our family dog was, he just lived there. And you couldn't take him away from it. And every time you tried to take him away from it, he would break free and go back to it, no matter how far away you took him. It happened several times, right?
He knew his way home.
You know exactly where he wanted to be, and we actually buried my father on that property with a headstone up in up like a camping spot that we used to go to all the time. And
Cool.
apparently, the dog just knew he was there, and he would just go sit at his grave for. If you were looking for him, that's probably where he was. It
Right.
was like he ate and then he sat at the grave, and that was all he did for a year.
Wow. A
But
whole year.
until I showed up, and then it was, oh, hey, I know you, you know.
You're like the younger version of him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
I can hang out with you now.
and the interesting thing was, I was, obviously this was still pretty fresh. It was only, a year old. And
Yeah, that's
I,
extremely fresh, particularly when you're that young.
yeah. So I kind of made my way with the dog up to my father's grave with the dog. And when we got to the spot, obviously I'm emotional. So I don't know how real this was and how much of it my brain just kind of made up.
Right.
But I heard my name in my ear, like in a whisper. And I went, yeah, I'm just kind of standing here. I'm already
You
in
kind of blew it off
tears.
at the time, even, right?
I was even, yeah, even the things that I was hearing, I was able to kind of make excuses for it,
Right.
And but my initial reaction was, yeah, I'm just emotional. This is, but then I looked at the dog, who's like, oh hi, right, and it's almost like he's making eye contact with somebody, and he's
Dude,
enthralled
dogs
by
look
it,
into your fucking soul, don't they?
but he wasn't looking at me,
Right.
but he was looking at someone, and that's when it actually scared me because then I heard my name a little further away. And then I heard it in like this kind of little bit further away, but it was more sinister. And it freaked me out. I'd taken a bike up there, and the grave actually was up on a hill that led back into the woods. So I'm taking off down this hill on my bike at as fast as I can get it to go down this little tractor trail that ran up there.
Right.
And I get down to the house, and my stepmother's just, "Are you okay?" I hear him. Sounds just like him. I hear him. And she says, "Yeah, he that's where he likes to be," as if she's had this encounter before and it doesn't weird her out at all, right?
Or at least maybe so many times that the weirdness has dissipated.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Is it sounds like she was used to it.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, if you had asked her at the same, at the same moment that you experienced it the first time, I'm sure there was not the same calmness.
Yeah, probably. But here's where it gets a little extra weird because I mean that part, I can still kind of go, yeah, maybe, it's a rough day, and I try to use some reason and not be that guy. Oh, I definitely saw a ghost. I don't know, but I was either really emotional. But the biggest point of that is that when I heard those voices in the distance, my dog was running towards it.
Right.
And
that makes but
that was
adds
where
it,
I was just, that's fucking scary. But the
No, it
dog
is.
is chasing after whatever he's hearing. So the summer before I don't remember. It was either the summer it actually happened or the summer right after it. I had this dream that I was in this white room that had no walls and yet felt like you were inside and yet felt like it went on forever. Probably makes zero sense at all.
No, it does.
But
Constrictive yet not.
Can't tell if
eternally.
there's a wall because the light is so brilliant, right? And my father, kind of walks up to me and he says, "Hey, how you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm good. Why are you here?"
What's
Hadn't
happening?
seen him in a long time, but it felt like real. And he says, "Oh yeah, well that's okay, but I needed to show you how to fix this." And I'm like, "What?" And he walks me over to this washing machine that just manifested. And he wasn't able to touch the machine, but he could touch my hands, and he was kind of guiding my hands through it. And he's like, all right, that's fixed. And he stands up and he kind of looks at me with goodbye.
Right.
And he says, all right, well, I guess that's it. And he turned around like he was going to walk away. And I'm like, well, I haven't seen you in a minute. So
yeah, what's up? Wait.
What do I do if
what
do I do if I want to talk to you again? And he says, oh, just ask the charismatic God. And then he walked away.
Huh.
And I woke up and I never forgot about, I'd never heard that before.
Yeah, that's
that I'm aware of.
Yeah, I don't remember it.
And I'm just charismatic God. What does that mean? And I was kind of just, I didn't understand the symbology
or subtext.
I didn't get it, right? And as the following year when we started moving and we went to a military base in Germany, I'm asking the respective pastors that take care of the multifunctional church there.
Right.
I'm asking everybody and anybody I can think of, hey, any idea what this charismatic God reference is all about?
Right.
And nobody's really got an answer. There's a few like, well, that might be referring to this, or that might be referring to that, or whatever. But I mean, it never perked anybody's ears up as being particularly that strange, I guess, even clergy people.
Right. So it wasn't something within the circles of at least whatever religions you asked. It's not like anybody's like, oh yeah, that's in reference to. I get it.
Well, it turns out I think it was more of a code word, right? So
from your dad to you,
yeah. So I'm in the car with my uncle after we'd spent 3 years in Germany.
I'm assuming this is your brother's brother.
Your
father's brother. Yeah. Excuse me. I'm high. You're high.
Yeah, we're both pretty high.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, we're good. So he's so we're in the car together and we're driving, 65 miles an hour down this dirt road leading back to his house that was about 20 miles from my dad's house. And I kind of looked over at him and I said, and I don't know why I even thought to ask him, right? But I said, hey man, any idea what the charismatic God is?
And you said you were around 16, right? You said 3 years after
17.
17. Okay. Okay. Sorry.
So we went to Germany when I was 14 and we came back when I was 17.
Gotcha.
Right?
Understand.
So, but as soon as I said, any idea what this charismatic God thing is, we were skidding to a stop on that gravel road.
Huh,
and he looks at me like he's literally seen a ghost, because apparently he did. And he says, where the fuck did you hear that? And I started telling him about the dream, and then he goes, and then the goddamn washing machine. And
he said like, that, right?
Yeah.
I bet that sent chills down your spine.
And I went, oh shit, right? I'm like, did we have exactly the same dream? He says, yeah, I think we did.
Yeah.
And
I bet it was your dad's way of letting go. Like the scenario is the same one where you get to do this one last task with your brother, one last task with your son. You know what I mean? Yeah,
it must have been something like that, because it was never. I think the message was just, hey, there's something over here.
It definitely feels more positive than the sinister voice that you heard to me from.
It does. It was that part was particularly weird.
Right. But this feels more of a way of him letting go and kind of giving closure to the two of you.
Yeah, like the people involved. I'm still here and I'm out, but I'm still here.
Yep.
And something. I think it was just a code word, right? This is something that somebody else.
Well, yeah.
This is an arrangement of words that are going to give people a response.
Right. Plus, I thought immediately when you said it that the reason he would say that is then it would trigger it when you would eventually use it or ask about it, right, to someone else who he gave the same message to, and then you have that trigger point. Boom.
Yeah.
What the fuck did you? What that's why he comes screeching to a halt. Like, what the fuck? Let's dive into this. We're gonna stop right here.
Yeah. It was a thing, and it freaked my uncle out badly because he's always been.
Are they religious or spiritual or anything?
Well,
Your
it's
dad
kind of
even
hard to answer
was your
because
dad? No.
they pretended to be.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I don't know how
Yeah,
much they actually
no,
believed
no.
it, but they pretended to be.
I could say that, you know, and my, quite frankly, my father may be even watching this, but you know, there's times where I feel that way with, I know that he has, you know, he has God. I just don't know how much he really truly actually believes. I haven't been able to figure him out. I know my mother, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
when it comes to my father, I can't.
Well, that's kind of how it always is with them because their mother, my grandmother, was what's the word that I'm looking for here?
Old? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no, definitely that. But I don't know. But they were ultra religious,
Right.
right?
I get it.
And there, you know, there was more than one exorcism.
Extreme.
You know, there was a self exorcism with the guiding hand of Jesus. There was just crazy shit that happened on that side of the family, right? So did their kids kind of grow up and go, I don't know if I really believe all that weird
That there
shit
tends
you
to be
believe.
rejection when people are so extreme on either side. Then the kids tend to,
Yeah,
at least not necessarily all of them, but let's just say many. You know,
well, just
they will.
to put it this way, my uncle wouldn't have been the type of person that would have immediately associated anything religious with the experience.
Right.
He would think more of you know, it wouldn't be Jesus gave you a chance to come talk to you. It was he just hadn't left yet, and he stopped by to say hi. It
Right.
wasn't
Well,
a
and
religious thing.
I should have used, and that's why I came back and immediately. I don't know if you heard, but as soon as I said religious, I really meant spiritual. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For me, I don't buy into any one religion anymore because I've studied so many. I don't know if we've talked about this, but that's why I don't even discuss them much anymore, because to me, the rudimentary meaning of all of them, down to like they're always the fucking same. Many times the stories are literally built on the same people. There's many religions that fight for the dominancy, but they're literally the same fucking religion, literally sprouting the exact same thing. So I'm not even going to go into it. But spiritual, and when I say spiritual, I'm talking about the fact that I truly believe that there's something beyond this. There's something before this. The only way you can actually come here and learn anything and get from it, though, is if you didn't have knowledge that you were on a quest to learn. Otherwise, that alters the learning. I don't know if you, and I'm sure you know what I mean by that. In an experiment, if you take the concept of an experiment, right, the control factor, if you know you're going here to learn, like, let's say that you could actually just go somewhere right here on Earth, right? That you already had this, you could go somewhere and be like, all right, we can take you somewhere for a weekend, and you're going to figure out if you're a really good person, a really bad person, or somewhere in the middle, and where that is, right? Figure out who you are, and you don't have to do anything. Well, to me, the only way that would ever work is if you didn't know you were going through that test in that scenario. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you can't have any knowledge of it. That's the way I see it. I will tell you this: there is a fucking ghost in here, though, dude. There is a spirit in this house. This right here, see this fucking rock? And you can go back and watch the video, but I actually went over there and turned it a minute ago so that it was facing like this. And when I just picked it up, it was already like this again. And I'm pretty sure that I don't vibrate and walk so much that I cause vibration on a glass shelf for this thing to fucking turn around. But it constantly gets turned around. That's one thing. Only in this fucking room, dude. Only in this room, I lose wireless connections all the time. Only in here. Never happened in the bedroom over there, in my bedroom when I had my office in there. But once my son moved out of this room and I took it over, and he used to say that he heard shit, felt shit, you know. So we have since actually smudged this house on multiple occasions. And every time we do, that rock fucking moves and like completely does a 180, or it not only does a 180, but it'll move. It'll do a 180 and then kind of back up against the wall, you know? So, and then I mean, there's so many other things I'm just trying to think of now, but like everything in here ends up being a little bit off in this fucking room. Like I have little clips that hold. See the wire around the top of the? Can you see that? Yeah.
No.
No, you probably can't from there because my camera is pointing down. But I have a wire of lights, right, that runs around the top edge of the room.
Yeah.
But just in these corners, just in these two corners, not the other two corners, the same exact. It's all kinds of weird shit. It's always weird shit.
Yeah.
But the disconnecting. I know, you would like to cough it up to just electronic, but why doesn't it happen in the rest of the house? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like I'm talking
I understand
about
what you're saying, but I do understand.
just this room.
Well, there could be placement, that could be stuff in the walls, that could be a lot of things. So, but I understand what you. But definitely your Wi-Fi isn't turning the thing in the background around either. So
no, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like I keep adding up little things, and I can't think of all the little things, but it's put it this way: there's so many odd things we've gotten to the point where like, oh, it's the ghost.
Well,
we'll hear something upstairs happen, and nobody's up there. Nothing happened. Like nobody was up there, and also on.
But you're not scared of it.
No. We've smudged, right? I mean, if it had any problem, it would manifest in nasty ways. But one of the things that we see constantly on the camera at night when the because we have wise cams, right? Mm-hmm. And we put those on, and only in certain rooms doesn't happen. I won't go into full details. It actually is only one fucking room, one of my kids' rooms. Just these little sparklies like are constantly flying orbs. By. Yep, the orbs. Not in any other room, dude. So at first I used to think of it as just dust, but then I looked at every camera, not any other room has that. Not even this room has that.
Right.
Just those are oddities, dude. I mean, I could go and pull that camera up right now. I'll guarantee if it's dark in there, and I mean, I'm talking like, dude, the room is full of them.
Right.
It's insane. It's crazy. Yeah.
No, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Now, like when we lived in Germany, my mom worked at the commissary there for pretty much the entire time that we were there. And I actually worked there bagging groceries for a little while.
Right.
And the base where my stepfather was stationed was actually a former hidden base of Hitler that Hitler had commanded effectively to be removed from the maps altogether. Right. So to that time, it was not uncommon to still not find that city on a map. Right. And one of the reasons is that pretty much the entire American army base there was built on top of catacombs. Right.
Jesus. That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think of, just in the sense of like the foundation is not going to be very
like catacombs for lots and lots and lots of dead German soldiers.
Holy shit.
So we, the commissary sat pretty much right on top of the biggest spot there, and weird shit happened in that place at night.
And this is Germany, right? What?
Yeah, it's Germany.
What area of Germany specifically?
Southern Germany, Bavaria.
Okay. So I have done a lot of research of my own right over the years, from watching documentaries to a lot of History Channel, obviously, which you have to take with a grain of salt these days. I'll just say that, and that's all I'll say. But the point is, there's a lot of crazy shit that has happened in Germany and been documented by multiple. Like it is one of those in and of itself, a hot spot for supernatural. Like, let's just say this: In Search Of, if they were around today, would be doing a lot of shows still from there.
Yeah. No,
remember that show? Remember fucking Nimoy's In Search Of show? It was like one of the first ones, all about supernatural.
Nimoy's In Search Of.
Yeah.
But it was weird because I mean, you'd be in there at night and stuff didn't fall off the shelves. Stuff jumped off the shelves,
like literally thrown.
Like it literally just hopped off of the fucking shelf,
right? Like a pop.
And we literally started. They started putting all of the like glass jars on the bottom. That they were actually trying to respond to the product lost from shit just jumping off the fucking shelves constantly. It was happening all the fucking time.
That's crazy, dude.
So, and you know, one day, I don't know if you know this, but German elevators, the ground floor is the first is ground zero, and then the second floor is the first floor, and the third floor is the second floor.
So if you're on the fourth floor, technically you're on the fifth floor of the structure.
Right,
Gotcha.
right. No, it actually starts at zero, right?
Yeah, it's fucking
anyway,
weird.
It's fucking weird. But so
I could see that if it went down a level, like the basement would be fucking zero, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly. So one night I was going to replace all of the bags, and I was taking the elevator up because I was being lazy. And when I hit the button for the second floor, well, our second floor, right? The first floor.
Right. Number one.
I find myself going down, and I'm like, what the fuck, right? There was a basement for this place, but I just hit 2 and it went straight down. And I get down there, and it is, number one, it's already dark outside, and Germany at night is fucking creepy.
Oh, dude, I would just be creeped out. Are you kidding? Let me just say this. Let me just pause you for a minute before you continue your fucking scary elevator story, motherfucker.
Yeah.
I would already be scared in another fucking country. I don't care how old I was. If I'm not like, dude, when I sense something at night is when I sense it the most, because you can say what you want, but the creepy shit comes out at night more. It just makes fucking common sense, period. They're less seen and noticed in the shadows.
Yeah.
Period. Please continue your elevator.
No,
story.
so I just end up sitting in we get down to it gets down to the elevator.
Is it just one floor down or two? Like how many?
It's one floor down.
Just one. Okay. I didn't know if it was like one of these deep deals or what.
No, it's just one floor down. But the door opens and there's just nothing, right?
Right. Darkness.
It's a big, wide open space down in the basement. Like you can't even see the walls. And the only light, there's no lights down there. The only light that's down there is coming from the little tiny bulb in the elevator. And
fuck that.
There are no stairs, right? And I cannot get this elevator to move. Right? I just keep hitting the fucking button, and I'm sitting with the door open to the elevator, looking into what appears to be eternal
right,
darkness.
Basically the abyss.
And knowing what we're sitting on top of, I'm just like, fuck,
Get me the fuck out of here.
And finally the elevator just goes, oh, I'll take you to where you want to go now, and takes me up to the second floor, and I kind of step off that elevator like I'm never getting on that elevator again. What the fuck? And so I actually ended up walking everything down the stairs to.
Yeah, I highly recommend that you never watch Devil.
I've seen it.
Yeah, that had to fuck with you a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit, but it was a thing. I was just like, that's fucking weird. And
that's
I don't know.
Strange. That's high. I mean, I get it that some people be like, that's just an electronical. Yeah, not when you look, man. You said something earlier about feeling it, right? And I can't remember what it was exactly. There was a moment that you said you felt. Oh, when your father. Sorry, I'm stoned, so I had to come back to it. When your father died. Yeah. So when my wife, and this is on an episode earlier, by the way, just so that you know, I'm not just bringing this up right now or making it up, but it's a well-known fact. The night that my wife was hit by a car, the moment she was hit, I knew something was wrong. I just felt it. Yeah. And so when you're in tune, number one, and you allow your receptors to feel and see, which is part of the whole reason we're having this conversation at all, Ragnar, right? Because I know you're one of the ones that not everybody does. We talked about that, the blinders, right? But if you do, then you feel it and you can sense shit, right?
Yeah.
And that's what you felt. That's what I'm hearing is like the moment that door opened. Yeah, it might have to anybody else there thinking that that's just a regular door opening, but that was more like a fucking horror movie door opening, and it sounds like it ended up going better than it could have in the sense of it sounds to me like there was clearly a spirit at play.
I felt like I was being released.
A spirit was having some fun with you because you were fresh live meat.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
It's just the way I see it. Like, I mean, I'm,
No, that's kind of the feeling I had. Was it might have been like, we're taking him down here, and then something else said, no, you're not.
Yeah.
And
like,
that's why it eventually
we're gonna stop
again.
it there. We're not gonna let him get off. And I'm sure you were fucking like, I'm not stepping off this fucking elevator.
Oh no, I couldn't. I was frozen.
You know that the moment you stepped off that motherfucker, the door would close too. Like, be like, what?
Yep. Yeah. And there were no stairs because they didn't have those kind of things when that shit was built.
Insane.
So you're just kind of stuck, But anyway, it's just it was a weird thing.
No, that's fucking creepy, dude.
My mom,
go ahead,
who also worked there, she comes home from work one night and she's just like, and this was not her personality really, she was scared, but also it seemed to be like simultaneously fascinated more than anything. Right. And she said that she was going to go up the stairs to do the nightly manager shit that you do at the commissary, whatever that is.
Whatever the hell that is.
And
tidy up, get the fuck out.
And this dude in a German military uniform just like manifests on the stairs. There he is.
Creep me the fuck out.
Right. And she stopped because this dude was so real to her that she felt like
she wasn't gonna be able to walk through him.
No, that it just was a dude that somehow got in there.
Right.
And then, she's like, she asked this guy, like, can I help you? And he says, I just want to go home, in like a German accent. And she says, well, where's your home? And he says, I don't remember, but my name's Clive. Right. And, my mom was like, you don't remember where you live? And he just says, no. And then he starts to walk up the stairs. And as he turns the corner, he just vanishes.
Oof.
Right. And the way that she describes this is there was this wasn't some like ghostly apparition. I mean, this was a fully formed human being. And
right. Like it felt physical, man, like fully not see-through or glowing, just like a regular dude.
Now, I should probably throw in the reality that my mother was for much of her life pretty mentally ill. So,
fair enough.
It wouldn't be beyond the realm of reason for her to potentially have manufactured this entire thing in her brain.
Fair enough.
But I will tell you that she was certain of what she saw when she got home because she couldn't act to save her life. Right. So she thought she
let's
saw
say
it.
This, your mom wasn't so crazy that she was spending most of her days in an insane asylum, so it's not like that kind of crazy.
She had moments.
Right, and you already said it. She fucking believes she saw that shit exactly how she described it to you.
Right. So it was either something supernatural or it wasn't, but that we both had a similar kind of
you both had something there in the same
spot,
in the same building.
And I mean, we had watched together things jumping off the shelf, so that was always weird, But you kind of got used to it after a while, like, oh, it's just why? And we would say things like, why did they keep throwing things on the floor? It wasn't why do things fall on the floor, it's why are they throwing them? Like we accepted that there were people attached to this movement.
No, I get it. If it was my father, he'd be like, why do they keep putting springs on these jars? I guarantee that's what he was. He's like,
why does he hate these cans?
Yeah, what the fuck? Oh man. All right, listen, we have gone. I just looked at it a minute ago, and I not wanted. We've gone 30 minutes plus. So technically, we've been speaking for an hour or 3 hours and 10 minutes. But dude, I loved it. We will have to do it again. And
for sure.
If you want the recording of this, just let
Yeah.
me know. I'll give it to you. I'll probably have to do like a we transfer or something.
Yeah, and I gotta find my
I
other one,
actually
too.
love
It's
it,
on
dude.
my other computer. So
I already figured out what I'm gonna do. I'll have it as like a it's cool because even my first season has like a not director's cut, but a lost episode,
right.
like as far as my channel goes, so I'll be able to put lost episode with Ragnar. So that's exactly how I'm gonna fucking
I'll find it tomorrow and I'll get it
Oh,
sent
dude,
over for you.
and listen, no pressure, dude.
No, I'm gonna do it.
I know, but we live hardcore. We take, and what I mean by that is hardcore lives where this is something that we're doing that we're not making money for. It doesn't,
Right.
it's taking up a lot of time. Clearly, it can take up a lot of time, and we're not doing it to make money. Although it wouldn't be nice. Let me just throw that out there. If someone wanted to sponsor me, thank you. But my whole point is I'm not doing it for that. I'm doing it to, spread a message and share stuff. And I really enjoyed this. And I do want to I think we should do a follow-up, and we could do it on dads and parents both. So especially since both of our moms are crazy, and she'll even admit to it. She'll tell you she's a strange bird. She admits nothing else but being crazy.
Oh, there you
That's
go.
part of where my strangeness comes from, guaranteed. And we clearly share some other aspects. They are night and day. Let me put it that way. One was, farmer's daughter and grew up more of a up in Kentucky, and definitely her mindset was more of the liberal left wing, and he was raised from someone who was a captain in the Navy, which is almost the highest rank you can achieve. Right? The dude my grandfather had his own base. Right?
Yep.
So my father's the son of the captain of the base, and then dates an enlisted woman. They were furthest from where they were supposed, like they were almost Romeo and Juliet type shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
Very, very crazy. So I'm just telling you, I think we should do one just on parents. I think that would be fun because there's
For
a lot of similarities there. Thanks, man.
All right,
for being
man.
on. Hey, I'm gonna let you if you want to bounce, you can. If you want to stay and hang out for a minute after this, I'm just gonna say a few words and then do my closing. But thank you so much for being here again, man. I really appreciate it. And I really enjoy the conversations every single time, bro.
Yeah, me too, man.
Thanks for coming, bro.
I think I am going to jump off of here because my wife is apparently standing at the door.
I'll do my
giving me
wife.
the
I'm
eyeball.
sure that she is pissed off at me. And please tell Mrs. Erickson
she's
tell
fine.
her I apologize. I did not mean to take it this long.
She's fine.
That's a good one, though. That's what she said.
She's
I apologize. Fantastic. I didn't mean to take it this long. With that,
yes,
have a good one, Ragnar.
All right, bye.
Thanks, man. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Next episode will be, what is today? Today's Saturday, so it's the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. It'll be Tuesday again. So it's a repeat. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday is next week, unless I'm doing my math wrong. And that might be the case. And I probably missed all kinds of comments. Hey, what's up, Grizz? Sorry I missed it. And had to ride 36 floors with an albino kid that stared at me and wouldn't talk the whole time. 36 floors, and I bet it was slow too. Tell me that if you're still here, Grizz, I bet that motherfucking shit was slow as shit too. Like, took forever. And I apologize for missing this. I've been so engulfed in this conversation. But I will definitely have Ragnar on again. Of course, I'll be having you on again real soon, Grizz, no doubt. Just for those who don't remember, Grizz is the one that we had. Grizz was here when we had lot lizard hunting, and we're going to go lot lizard hunting again real soon. But with that, I will be back with a new episode next week. I'll post my times on Sunday. That is something I am trying to do now and get that done. I love all of y'all. Each of y'all are awesome, incredible, special, unique people, and you're here for a reason. And keep that up and remember that. And if you ever need anything from me, please don't feel like you have to do anything other than ask. I'm always there to help anybody and give support to anybody, even an extra hand to any 420 stoner, particularly if they're trying to grow their own marijuana. That's very difficult. I love all you guys. Have a great day. Have a great evening. It's late. Go get some sleep. See you on the next episode. All right, let's try that again. Get some sleep. Have a great night. See you on the next. You know what? To blaze or not to blaze, there is no question. There is only to get high, to get motherfucking by. And I am pretty fucking ripped actually tonight. So with that, now I can say, see you on the next episode. Peace.
You can't have my phone number unless we running up the digits. Let me meditate, I just need a couple minutes. Tryna low by me, my cojones to the big ass. Bitch, I get high. I ain't looking at the clock.